Miller Field in Regina, home of Rider pride and home of one desperate team. They need an upset today over the Owls on the CFL Live. Hey folks, how are you? Welcome to the CFL Live. James Duthie along with Eric Tillman, Matt Dunnigan, and the answer to that infamous question, who let the dogs out? Why, Schultz let the dogs out. Who else? Golf fans, of course, we left the President's Cup a little bit early. The Americans, of course, already winning it. We will update you on who won that final match. Let's talk some football. And today, two teams with very different agendas. It's simple for the Alouettes, win, and they clinch the East. As for Saskatchewan, it's all about survival. They have to have a win, basically, to stay alive in the Western race. So one team trying to coast, the other trying not to be toast, and a very big challenge for those Saskatchewan Roughriders.
It is a big challenge, James, because if the Saskatchewan Roughriders are going to win this game, they must play well on the offensive side of the football, because nobody scores more points than the Montreal Alouettes this year, and that is a concern. On the positive side, the Riders do have a very good offensive line and a top quarterback, and I really think the addition of Chris Zarka at fullback was a good move by Danny Barrett. He brings a physical presence, not a finesse presence. That's how you play Montreal. If there's one guy, though, that needs to step up and have a big game, it's Curtis Marsh. He owes the fans, he owes the coaching staff, and he owes the teammates, because he went AWOL. Now is the time he can really kind of redeem himself and play some good football, Eric.
And he does need to redeem himself, Chris.
Yes.
I also agree with you about Chris Zarka. I think he's a big, big addition. I think we'll see more two-back sets today. I think it's important for Saskatchewan to run the football effectively and take pressure off Henry Burris. Speaking of Henry Burris, I think they need to adjust a little bit offensively. Move Burris around, change his launching points, get him on the perimeter, run some bootleg stuff, but do some things to take advantage of his athleticism and give him more of a chance to be successful.
You know, I think it's important, Eric, for them to control the line of scrimmage, and I think that's exactly where this game's going to be won and lost, and I think Montreal has the edge. Smart for Saskatchewan to try to control the football, keep it out of Montreal's hands, but I look for Montreal to gut the Saskatchewan defensive interior, just like BC did last week for 268 yards. This plays right into Montreal's hands with the big horses up front. Mike Pringle, who averages 5.5 yards per carry, he can do it better than anybody in the CFL. I look for Montreal to dominate the line of scrimmage and gut this defense.
Alouettes have the dominant running back in Pringle and also a very good quarterback in Anthony Calvillo. Let's check out our starting QBs, brought to you by Robbins Donuts. Still rocking after all these years. Calvillo having a sensational season. Burris is the future in Saskatchewan, has shown signs of why he is the future, but has also been a little bit inconsistent of late. There is one other game today. We'll update you throughout the afternoon. BC at Calgary. This also a key game for Saskatchewan. If BC wins and Saskatchewan loses, well, then Saskatchewan's season is done. But Henry Burris and company, well, they have other plans in this one. They need to pull off the upset of the year against the Owls, and we'll see if they can do it next.
Curtis Marsh has something to prove to fans and teammates after his walkout last week. Demetrius Maxey, a last chance on home turf to keep that playoff dream alive.
To do that, they'll have to stop Pringle power. 4 touchdowns the last time these two teams played for Mr. Pringle. And on defense, in charge of grounding Henry Burris, as their attack will be the Montreal secondary led by Lester Smith.
The odds are long, but there is still hope for a second season if the Riders can run the table and win their final 3 games. Cool and crisp on a sunny Sunday afternoon in Saskatchewan, 12 degrees. The wind will be a factor out of the west at 22, blowing left to right across your television screen.
A win or a tie today, and Charlie Taff and the Montreal Alouettes will lock up first place in the East. And for the 5th straight year, this team will have won 12 or more games in the regular season.
Rookie Rider head coach Danny Barrett really hopeful of a win today, not only to keep that playoff hope alive, but also to end the home season in Saskatchewan on a positive note.
Yeah, he really wants to win this game for that reason, and that reason alone. They want to establish something on home field, something that they can carry over to next season.
Paul McCallum set to kick it off. The Riders will be going into a rather stiff breeze here at Taylor Field this afternoon. Interesting formation to get it underway. And McCallum sails it inside the 10-yard line. That's Thomas Haskins returning for the Alouettes. He's slippery. Haskins with a great move, still standing as he crosses the 40, now to the 45. What a great return by Thomas Haskins. All the way out to the 55-yard line. 50 on the return. What a great beginning for the Alouettes. Anthony Calvillo in the midst of an all-star season. He is at the controls of a very powerful Montreal offense. The superback, as everyone knows, is Mike Pringle, and he is the key to success. Ben Cahoon is closing in on 1,000 yards. Up front, Brian Chu is having an outstanding season as the Alouettes starting center. Montreal begins right at midfield, and Pringle gets the call. He's got 5, and he's got more, 10 yards, maybe 11 for Mike Pringle, run out by Nate Terry. Penalty marker is down. Cavillo is just having a great run. 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
And speaking of touchdowns, how about Mike Pringle?
Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan 29. First down.
There's a horrible start for the Roughriders. Nate Terry caught there. They gave up the big run.
Speaking about touchdowns, Mike Pringle, 1 rushing touchdown away from Canadian Football League record for a single season. Rushing touchdowns, had 4 against the Saskatchewan Roughriders the last time these two teams played.
Alouettes are already at the Rider 28. Pringle's second carry. Aaron Collins made the tackle.
Well, whenever you play against Mike Pringle defensively, the pressure is squarely on your front 7. George White, who is second in the league in tackles, will have to come up with a huge game here this afternoon, as will Demetrius Maxey up front. In the secondary, they are a group that are no longer rookies. They play 10 games together. They have to play like veterans this afternoon.
Mike Pringle picked up 3. This is 2nd and 7. The Alouettes at the Saskatchewan 25. Cavillo has time. Kevin Alexander has the catch. Lots of weapons on this Montreal offense.
Well, Alfonso Browning is still out in that slot back position. He has a bad ankle. He's missed a couple of games because of that, but Calvillo can go right to Kevin Alexander, who is the backup. 10 catches coming into this game on the season, has a little bit of a chance to play. In a game against Calgary early in the year, had both of those touchdowns in his first game with the Alouettes. He's got explosive speed.
Alouettes are set up, 1st and goal to go at the Saskatchewan 5. Here's Pringle. It closes up quickly, and Pringle won't get to the end zone there. In fact, he loses a little bit running into Aaron Collins.
Well, they have something to prove on defense. The Saskatchewan Roughriders did not have a good game, especially along the ground against the BC Lions a week ago. They gave up close to 300 yards rushing against the Lions, and right now are ranked 7th in the league stopping the run, and that doesn't bode well when you're facing Mike Pringle this afternoon. The pressure is on them, and they have to play their best game of the year.
Now 2nd and goal from the 5. Cavillo, the shotgun, looks to the end zone. There's the toss. Comes up short, but extra effort means a touchdown for Thomas Haskins, as Haskins powered his way after making the catch at about the 2.
Not the start the Saskatchewan Roughriders wanted, no question about that. The big return by Thomas Haskins starts the drive off, and Thomas Haskins is the guy who finishes the drive. Nothing fancy about it. He's just out in the flat, but he does a nice job after catching the ball to break a tackle right there in the open field by Andrew Henry and get himself in the end zone.
Yeah, they should have been able to stop him on that play. Henry let him get away. They had it well covered, but the Alouettes get to the end zone anyway. This is a missed opportunity on the convert, and it'll be 6-0. That's all. Nate Terry made the tackle on Ben Cahoon after a botched exchange on the Alouettes convert. Thomas Haskins got the Alouettes off to a superb start with a huge return on the opening kickoff.
Yeah, he started this whole thing for the Montreal Alouettes. The opening kickoff of the game. 4 Saskatchewan Roughrider tacklers have a chance. That's his first one. Here comes the second one there. Third one right there. Fourth one there, and he's off and running to midfield. Thomas Haskins with the key play, get him started, and he finished it with the touchdown.
Riders could use something like that here. But the return is limited to the 30-yard line. Bendros set Saskatchewan up near the 30. And this was a very quick scoring drive. 5 plays for the Alouettes. And when you start at the 55, it's a short distance to the end zone.
Absolutely. 50 yards on the kickoff return for Haskins. 5 yards to finish it off. And there was a penalty in there as well that helped out by Nate Terry.
Henry Burris with 30 touchdowns. He's had some interception problems of late, though. 23 of those against Henry Burris. 1st and 10. Saskatchewan near the 30. Chris Zarka, and he's fired right back. Burris has thrown for more yardage than any CFL quarterback, but victories have been tough to come by for the past 4 weeks. Curtis Marsh back after a week in the doghouse. Dan Farthing is tough as any, and Darren Davis is back to prove he's a solid runner. Up front, John Terry also back after missing 2 games. That's a key acquisition, John Terry, or a key return, I should say.
Absolutely.
John Terry back in the lineup.
Well, their best offensive lineman all year, and he's back in the lineup today, and they desperately need him in there.
Just a 1-yard gain. Burris puts it up. He's on the money for Gulliford. And that's a first down for the Roughriders. Something to cheer about at Taylor Field. Irvin Smith made the tackle.
Well, defensively for the Montreal Alouettes, Swift Birch moves back out to the defensive end position. Steve Charbonneau's inside, and Sheldon Benoit getting a chance to play his first season as a starter from start to finish. Lester Smith anchors the secondary at the free safety position. 8 interceptions on the season for Smith.
Starting lineups brought to you by Midas, your auto service experts. 1st and 10. Riders out near the 50. Darren Davis for a couple.
You know, listening to the panel at the beginning of the show, I'd have to agree with Eric Tillman when he said that Darren Davis may be the key for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in this game offensively. He's probably a bit of a secret weapon because Montreal never played against Darren Davis when these two teams played early in the year. That was Dion Tyler at that time for Saskatchewan. So yes, they've seen him on film. They know what he can do, but they haven't had to tackle him yet.
Yeah, one of the keys for this guy is he averages 5.6 yards a carry. And that's really been a welcome sign in the Saskatchewan backfield when he hasn't been hurt. Burris fired low, but he gets a completion out near the 50. Curtis Marsh made the catch, and we'll see where they spot this one. Marsh had to come back.
Well, Henry Burris stands in there strong and takes a bit of a hit from the Montreal defense. Get this ball off. They were sending some pressure. You see Stephen Reed right in the middle.
Riders come up a little shy. 1.5 yards to go, and it's a punting situation for Saskatchewan. McCallum is in.
The wind will be a bit of a factor, I think, this afternoon. It doesn't look, by looking at the flags over the goalpost, that it's blowing that hard, but down on field level there is quite a wind, and Paul McCallum was kicking around 30-yard punts into the wind in warm-up. And he said his range into the wind on field goals is probably around 40 yards, 42 yards.
Not bad here. Kept it fairly low. Tyree Davis. And the Riders have to do a better job on special teams tackles. 18 on that return. Marcus McDavid made the tackle. Obviously, Danny Barrett a little disappointed at the start his team got today. Here's what he has to do to win.
Well, first of all, Montreal has to attack that Echeverry attack defense. Pringle had 4 touchdowns. They're going to attack it along the ground with Mike Pringle, see if they can't break a seam. Saskatchewan, well, they have to finish off drives. You talked about Burris's interception problems. He's had 8 in his last 4, usually at crucial times in the football game in the scoring range. And whoever gets the jump start so far, it's been the Montreal Alouettes. But first half lead will be very important for both teams.
Rider defense. We'll see if it's up to the task here. Pringle. And they've limited his gain on first down a couple of times.
Well, this is what we talked about. Sorry, John. We talked about with the Echeverry defense is a lot of times they will put everybody up on the line of scrimmage. When I say everybody, except for probably the 2 corners. So with 12 guys on the field, if you just do the math, that's 10 people up in the tackle box. Now, there's no second level there. That means there's no linebackers behind that front D line. If Mike Pringle can get a seam, he gets big yardage. That's what BC did last week. Saskatchewan has to try and stop that here today.
2nd and 7. And the Alouettes will be stopped short of the first down. Pringle made the catch, but he had nowhere to go.
Here's what I'm talking about with that Echeverry defense, something we'll watch throughout this game. They'll bring their linebackers up in these gaps like this and bring the halfbacks up on the line of scrimmage. There's no second level in behind here, so if Pringle can bust the seam, there's no one to catch him. The DBs, the free safeties, the halfback and linebackers all up on the line of scrimmage. If they get a seam running the football, it's going to be a long day for the Riders.
Gulliford is deep for Saskatchewan, standing back near his 20. Terry Baker with the wind. Good return for Gulliford. He's out across the 35 to about the 37. Give him 18 there. Stopped by Tracy Gravely. 1st and 10, Saskatchewan when we return. Little controversy over the past week in Saskatchewan over the CFL's leading receiver, Curtis Marsh. Here's Ray Morrison.
Yeah, John, while the Roughriders were preparing for the BC game about a week and a half ago, Curtis Marsh got upset and left, walked off the practice field, and Danny Barrett said whether he is the leading receiver or not, discipline had to be forthcoming, so he suspended him for the BC Lions game. Since then, last Tuesday, Curtis Marsh came back to the Roughriders, apologized to his teammates, got some personal problems out of the way, and Danny Barrett tells me that all is fine in the locker room and preparations for the Alouettes game went very well.
1st and 10, Roughriders. As Burris had his hand tapped there, it's intercepted. Gulliford. Mark Washington came up with the ball.
Ball took way too long to get out there to the wide side of the field for Henry Burris. Didn't have anything on it. Mark Washington basically just waited for that football to arrive and then fumbled it. But I believe Montreal did recover that fumble.
So tough start for Saskatchewan on this turnover here. Washington, the easy interception. Gulliford reacts and forces a fumble.
Yeah, here comes the fumble. And then it's a race, and Gulliford's trying to climb over Washington to get there, and he just can't get there in time because the Alouette pursuit gets there, and I believe it's Sylvester Miller, was it? Comes up with that recovery.
So the Alouettes are set up inside the Saskatchewan 40, 1st down. Almost. Tyree Davis was in behind the cover.
Yeah, Ladavus McCalla, though, he got lucky, a little bit lucky at the end. Good pass blocking up front for Anthony Calvillo. Neil Fort picking up the blitz from the Saskatchewan Roughriders, doing a nice job of turning away Arkel Trueluck completely. Let's call a little bit of rejection at the door. And then Tyree Davis had a crack at that touchdown because Ladavus McCalla gambled, came underneath, and misjudged the football a little bit. He got a little lucky that Davis dropped it.
2nd and 10. Flags are down. Cavillo to his left. That one was tipped and got through anyway. The Alouettes will have a 1st down on the reception by Ben Cahoon, depending on how the infraction is called.
Yeah, now was he throwing to Ben Cahoon or was he throwing to Jock Climbing?
I think it was right to Cahoon.
If you ask Calvillo, he'll say Ben Cahoon. Ben Cahoon caught it. That's where I was throwing it.
24 yards if it stands.
Offside. Saskatchewan 91.
It'll stand.
Penalties declined. 1st down.
Demetrius Maxey was the wide side. He was the guy that was offside, and then he gets hooked by Mike Pringle, so that allows Calvillo to the outside and gives him time to throw. Look at Jock Climbing right in the middle of your screen. There's Climbing. Now is Calvillo throwing to him? Because Climbing goes up, it's over him, tipped, and Ben Cahoon catches it.
Lucky to be good to be lucky. The Alouettes are a little bit of both here today.
Well, this team is very good.
Mike Pringle. Not to the end zone that time on 1st down from near the 15. Aaron Collins met him.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the opening drive defensively have given up some yards. They bent a little bit, and then they got down there and gave that touchdown to Thomas Haskins. But they did shut the door on Pringle on a couple of attempts. They're facing that same task right now.
It'll be 2nd and 5, Montreal. Inside the 10-yard line. At the Roughrider 8.
See, everybody's on the line of scrimmage right now for the Rider defense.
Here's Pringle picking his way through, and he gets down near the 5. Collins again. Mike Pringle has 18 touchdowns so far this season. That ties a record set a long time ago by Blue Bomber great Jerry James in 1957 and equaled by Jim Germany in 1981.
And that's rushing touchdowns in a season, not total touchdowns, but quite a record for Mike Pringle. It should get it this afternoon.
Alouettes are gambling here on 3rd and 2. When you've got Pringle in the backfield, not much of a gamble sometimes.
I don't know.
Captain, he didn't get the 1st down.
I don't know,
Maxey
John.
was called on the outside, stepped up and made a big play.
Demetrius Maxey, a big play, got some help from George White. He was also in there. I mean, this going to be very close. I don't think he got it. They're not even going to measure it.
No, he didn't get it.
They're not even going to measure it. There's Max. He's stepping right up there. Muhammad Ali got Calvillo's legs, and George White came over the top. Could be a big momentum changer in this football game. A gamble that is really, in some ways, disrespectful when you think about Montreal saying, you know,
it is third
and two, but we think we can go in on 3rd and 2, and the defense rose to the occasion.
Little doubt the Alouettes have the best offense in Canadian football.
Well, and that's why they're confident to gamble on 3rd and 2. With full credit to the Rider D.
Most would have expected number 27 to get the call. First down, and it's batted down again. That's a couple that have been affected down there by the Alouette defensive line. That was Swift Birch that time.
Really emerged as a leader for the Montreal Alouettes throughout this season. Swift Birch has been asked to move inside the defensive tackle, played very well in there. He's right down here and is going to come up in the quick game. And if you can't get home rushing on the quick passing game, get your hands up, and Swift Birch does that, knocks that football down. But what a season he's had. 8 sacks on the year, but really emerged as a leader on the defense.
And he's missed a couple of games.
And that time he was offside. just as I said, what a great year he's having, he made a little mistake. Of course, that happened in Winnipeg.
Offside. Montreal 90. Second down repeated.
That happened in Winnipeg 2 days ago when I jinxed.
Oh.
He's never going to talk to me again.
No, I don't think so. You jinxed the quarterback.
Yeah.
Things were going well.
Well, Kahari
Jones.
Yeah, and I said, you know, he hasn't thrown that key interception. He threw one right to Rob.
Next play. It wasn't
Next
6 seconds later.
Yeah, so he's going to be talking to me about that.
2nd and 5. Catchable ball. Bendras couldn't bring it down.
Yeah, he had to have it.
Bendras should have made the catch.
He had to come up with that catch because it was read perfectly by Henry Burris. Montreal decided to go with the blitz, something they don't often do, and they're going to blitz from this side of your screen. It's going to be from the secondary, and Baron Miles, number 31. Perfect read by Burris. He goes right to where Miles should have been in coverage. See, there's number 31 coming off the edge. Darren Davis picks him up. It was well blocked, read correctly by Henry Burris, and just not executed by Bendras.
And the Alouettes will get good field position here. If the Riders do actually punt, it's a fairly stiff breeze, so one might think
they may give it
this
up.
might be a time to give 2 away and kick it a little deeper, but
not necessarily a bad idea. You're looking at 2 or 3, and that's what they'll do. That's a good decision, and McCallum will take his time to try and take some more seconds off the clock.
So the Riders give up a couple rather than kick into a 22-kilometer breeze. Alouettes have the lead. It's 8-0 on CFL Live.
CFL football on TSN is brought to you in part by Molson Canadian. I am Canadian. And by 3M Filtrate Air Cleaning Filters. Breathe the difference.
Thomas Haskins has had a great afternoon already, hasn't he? Ready to return another one here. Huge return on the opening kickoff, and then he scored the first touchdown today.
He provides nice depth for Charlie Taff in this offense. When you think of Thomas Haskins as another weapon, he can be a receiver out of the backfield or can also run the ball successfully as a over 5-yard average when he does rush the football.
And under both circumstances, he's not a starter for the Alouettes. Here's Haskins. Good head of steam. He's out across the 30 to the 32. George White made the tackle there after a 25-yard return.
Yeah, and you talk about Thomas Haskins. Winston October is not in the lineup, the great return man for the Montreal Alouettes due to injury. And talking to Charlie Taff about Haskins replacing him on the return game, and he says, yeah, we got a pretty good one to back him up in Thomas Haskins. He can make a couple guys miss in the open field.
Kevin Alexander also returns well. Alouettes with the 8-0 lead, beginning just shy of the 35. Little play action fake. Oh, almost an incredible catch by Jock Climby, who went high, got one hand on it. Couldn't quite bring it down.
Arkel Trulak really made the play because he forced a quick throw from Anthony Calvillo. He's number 43, hitting Calvillo as he delivered that football, and that's why it's a little bit high and outside. If Arkel Trulak doesn't get this pressure and make Calvillo kind of turn away as he's throwing it, he probably completes that pass. Trulak was working one-on-one on Bruno Heppel and beat him.
2nd and 10. Alouettes have Cahoon to the near side. He's their leading receiver, Ben Cahoon. Under the cover again, and Climby had that one fired behind him. Jackie Mitchell was covering, and Cavillo just miscalculated.
It's an offense that ranks number 1 in the league rushing the football at close to 150 yards per game, and when you have Mike Pringle, it's not surprising. They rank 6th throwing the ball. They don't throw it quite as much as most teams, but I think when you ask Charlie Tapp, the one stat that he likes to lead in, and that's points, and it's a team that scores more points than any other in Canadian football offensively.
Baker's kick, bouncing near the 40. Eric Gulliford lets it roll out of touch. So Saskatchewan down by 8. 1st and 10 on CFL Live when we come back to Taylor Field. On 1st down, Saskatchewan, there's very little running room inside for Darren Davis, number 8. Maybe a couple.
Well, you heard Ray Morrison on the sideline talk about the incident between Curtis Marsh and his teammates a couple of weeks ago, and you have to really give full credit to head coach Danny Barrett, the way he handled that situation. He had his star receiver, the leading receiver in the league, walk out on practice. He talked to him. Curtis Marsh was ready to leave the team at that time. Talked to him again when he cooled down, decided to suspend him and set the precedent for the rest of the team and the rest of his coaching reign here in Saskatchewan.
Here's Burris. It's Marsh. Good catch by Marsh. Nice run after making it. And that's the biggest play of the afternoon for the Roughriders. Curtis Marsh is back.
Well, and it's something, John, that if you think of the way Barrett took care of this situation, he suspended him to say, look, it doesn't matter if you're the star or you're 39th man covering kicks. You will be dealt with the same way. And he suspended him for the game. Marsh apologized to his teammates, like Ray mentioned, which isn't very easy to do. And he stood in the room, said that he was sorry that his personal life away from the game affected their team. And that can be something that pulls his team together.
33 yards in the previous play, and Burris fired one into the turf, looking for Marsh on the far side again.
And there's no question that he was struggling. And you look at his first 10 games in the lineup, he was averaging 105 receiving yards per game in those first 10. In his last 4 that he played, and obviously he didn't play last week, but in the last 4 that he did play, that dropped to 40 yards per game. So his production had dropped off because of personal problems.
Yeah, and there was frustration there. So
no question.
You can't excuse it, but you like the way the Riders handled it.
Absolutely.
And it's nice to see Marsh back in the lineup. 2nd and 10. Burris thought there was an opening. There wasn't. So the Riders look at 3rd down. A tough kick into the wind from where they are.
Well, it was a successful drive for Saskatchewan. I'll tell you why. With that Curtis Marsh play, where he picked up big yardage, he really killed the rest of this first quarter. There's only 16 seconds left. So now Saskatchewan will punt this football, turn around basically in 1 down, and get the wind at their back for the second quarter. That's what they wanted to do, because they've only given up 8 points with the wind in their face. So a good drive kills the rest of the first quarter, and that's a success for that offense.
And considering the start the Alouettes got with a huge punt return right out to midfield to get things going, the Riders are hanging in here, only down by 8. With the wind coming up shortly, and
right.
Saskatchewan's back.
We got to be on this side.
Zeros are on the score clock here, so this will be the last play of the opening quarter, barring a penalty. Bobbled, Saskatchewan has a chance, and I think the Riders have recovered. Aaron Collins comes up with a football, and a huge play on special teams for Saskatchewan. Second quarter straight ahead. Live from Taylor Field, there's the miscue, and there's the Rider recovery.
The CFL live on TSN at the quarter.
James Duffy back with you, and considering that they were in their own end of the field most of the first quarter, considering they were against the wind, considering the opportunities Montreal had, well, that wasn't all that bad for Saskatchewan. You get a feeling that third down gamble may have really turned things around.
Well, I think so. I mean, we have a competitive game, and I have to compliment Saskatchewan understanding the value of down and distance and tendency, because nobody with the Montreal Alouettes, they constantly run this play, this little option play right on the 5-yard line, and it seemed like right now Saskatchewan is the only team that I've seen to be able to take that away. That was a great opportunity for the Alouettes. They didn't convert, and it may be the key to the football game, Matty.
Well, Chris, I thought it was a terrible decision. I don't like the second guess, but hey, Montreal, they're running Pringle successfully in the interior line of scrimmage. They get in down there 3rd and 2, and they put it in AC's hands. Continue to pound the football up the middle. And then if you are going to run the option, give it up to Pringle, because you got Heppel out in front and you got a walk-in touchdown. But just a crazy call down there. I think you got to give it to the dance with the one that brought you.
I agree with you, Matt, and I think this drive is really, really important for Saskatchewan. Now that they've got a turnover, they need to stop the bleeding, give their defense a rest, and get back into the game. When you're playing at Taylor Field, the wind is a huge, huge factor. You have to score the 2 quarters you have it. Saskatchewan has the wind at their back. They've got positive field position. They have to capitalize on it now.
Saskatchewan's #1 concern, of course, is the Montreal Alouettes, but they'll also be keeping a little peek on the scoreboard, because the BC Lions, the team they're chasing, playing against Calgary. Kelvin Anderson, as you see, with a 9-yard touchdown run. The Stamps on top, less than 5 minutes left in the first quarter, 7-0.
So we'll watch that game with interest, but right now there's a little more interest in this one at Taylor Field. Danny Barrett's Roughriders. Huge turnover will begin inside the 20-yard line with a first down here.
Yeah, and you heard the guys talk about the wind being a factor. Montreal won the toss, deferred to the second half. Saskatchewan took the win in the second quarter. That's why they have it now.
Riders really need to come up with something productive here, and it doesn't work out that way at all. Darren Davis lost yardage there. The play looked to be a little slow developing.
Yeah, it was. And Swift Birch got in there and really turned it away. And when you take a look at what's happened in the first quarter, pretty even in the passing game, 55 yards for both teams. Not a surprise, really, that Montreal has the edge rushing the football, but you know, the Riders did a nice job of only giving up 8 points in a quarter that they didn't have the wind at their back. Could have been worse.
2nd and 12. Burris, the pump fake, looks to the end zone. Marsh wide open. No catch.
Dropped it. He had it. He had it. It was a double move by Curtis Marsh. He's working on Davis Sanchez. Another guy's having a tremendous year in the secondary for the Montreal Alouettes. Here's the first move. Pump fake by Burris right there. Sanchez tries to jam him, but misses the jam. The ball's kind of thrown low and away, but that's a ball that Curtis Marsh has caught all season long. And this is a matchup that we will watch all game long. Davis Sanchez, maybe the all-Canadian at corner in the CFL.
That's a heck of a story, isn't it? This guy is playing superbly. 2nd in interceptions. McCallum puts it up, and he puts it through, so the Roughriders are on the board. 7 would have been nicer, but 3. At least it's a start for the Riders on home turf today.
Swipe your club card at Safeway for auto.
We'll be at Skydome on Friday night. Why don't you drop by and say hi? Bombers Argos battle for a playoff spot.
How important is that game for the Toronto Argonauts? 3 points behind Winnipeg in the standings in the East for the final playoff spot. That will be one that they will be ready to play. You might want to check it out.
Green and white faces all over this place. Most football afternoons. First down Montreal, and Pringle has been limited to long yardage today. His first carry went for 10, and Chance McCarty had him wrapped up there. Since then, the Riders have handled the run and Mike Pringle decently well.
Well, they really have, and you got to give full credit to Aaron Collins and George White in the linebacking core. They're really holding their own right now. Can they do it for the full 60 minutes is always the question.
And
with
not
Mike
many
Pringle.
teams can.
Look at, they're all up in the line of scrimmage again, trying to stop it. See that line of Riders? Now just one of them drops out of there.
2nd and 7. Cavill will put it up near side. No catch. Davis says he had it, but his pleas to the officials down there fall on deaf ears.
Well, they were right in line to make the call. He's still arguing a little bit. Take a look. You only need 1 foot in bounds. He's got the out pattern. McCallum's beat. He doesn't have control just yet. I think he didn't have control, and that's why they ruled him out of bounds. He didn't have complete control of the football. He's kind of juggling it there, and then he touches that white line. So they were right on the spot to make the call.
So the Rough Rider defense holds again, and Terry Baker is in, kicking into the breeze for the first time. Eric Gulliford deep for Saskatchewan near his 30. Knuckler, not deep. Gulliford misjudged it momentarily, but he's on his way now. Turns the corner and has a decent return for field position anyway. 45 on the punt, 14 on the return. 1st and 10 for the Riders when we return. There's a matchup we'll watch today. Curtis Marsh had a chance for a touchdown in the end zone.
Well, I mentioned Davis Sanchez on the corner, and you know, Curtis Marsh has made 1 play. This is the last series. Davis Sanchez on that double pump move. Curtis Marsh got in behind and didn't catch the ball. That goes as a long incompletion under Davis Sanchez's category in his stats book. What a season he has had. 7 interceptions. And I think when you look at all Canadians at the corner position, he's got to be considered.
On 1st down, Saskatchewan, far side. The Riders turn this into a big play. Bendros made the catch.
That's one thing that Henry Burris has that right at his fingertips is good balanced speed on the outside for him. We talked about Curtis Marsh, and then you look on the other side with Demetrius Bendros. Now you got very good speed that can stretch a defense, and when I say stretch, they get downfield, and that's why things open up more for Eric Gulliford underneath and Dan Farthing. If you have speed on the outsides, the inside receivers have more room to maneuver.
Dangerous receivers. 9 yards to gain. This is 2nd and 1, and that's plenty for a 1st down. Darren Davis.
Then you throw in a couple of running plays. You got speed on the outside, and you got the potential for a pretty potent offense.
Now after the play, there's a flag down far side.
But potential won't get you much when it comes to wins and losses. You got to execute when the game's on the line, and that's been a little bit of a problem for Saskatchewan. When they get down in what Danny Barrett likes to call the green zone, because green means go on in.
Yeah, you see, Danny Barrett is absolutely right. It is the green zone, not the red zone.
That's right.
Red means stop, green means go.
Well, he said it's the red zone for defenses, it's the green zone for offenses, but that's where they've struggled. And Henry Burris has moved the ball. He's thrown for over 4,000 yards, but he gets down there and makes mistakes.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan 54, dead ball foul. 1st down, 1st and 10.
So the 1st down will count. They'll get yardage for the 1st down and get a new set, but they're moving back 15 yards.
Look up here, Stephon Reed, the linebacker, and I believe there's the late hit right there. Jeremy O'Day, the center, is doing what offensive linemen like to call cruising. They look for little DBs and linebackers down the field, and they cruise. And if they find one, they want to hit them because they don't run very far. They run 10 yards, they want to hit somebody.
He hammered him. 1st down, Saskatchewan. Burris has time. And he has a reception out at the 50. Curtis Marsh has a 1st down.
Well, again, there it is. Curtis Marsh, Davis Sanchez. Looking at probably the All-Canadian that's actually playing a little zone defense, so Sanchez drops him inside to Baron Miles, but pretty good catch. Had to come back to that football.
A little premature in that 1st down calculation there. We're about a half a yard shy.
Okay, well, that's all right. I'll forgive you this time.
Go, man.
2nd down, actually a little less than a yard to go. And Burris has it this time.
Well, starting to move the ball a little bit for Henry Burris and the Saskatchewan offense, but they really want to do as much as they can with the win. It's also the long quarter. In the 2nd quarter and the 4th, you have the long quarter, so you have a little more time. when you get down into that last 3 minutes, but they need to put some points on the board. Well, they have it. Montreal now has the choice in the second half. They'll likely take the fourth quarter with the wind at their back.
Out at the 52, first down, Saskatchewan. Shotgun for Burris. Here's the heat. Burris stands in and fires this one deep. He missed Bendros by about 10 yards, but to just see how far he threw the football with the heat coming.
Yeah, with the flick of the wrist, he throws it about 80. Coming off the corner was Mark Washington. We've seen Baron Miles early in this game, and this time it was Mark Washington. This is something that this Montreal defense has not done a lot of this season, and that's come with pressure from the secondary. The defensive backs coming on a little bit of a blitz. Mark Washington is completely free, but with a flick of the wrist, Henry Burris throws it out of trouble 80 yards down the field.
Yeah, 5 of 11 for 73.
Well, he threw it 73 yards on that one play. It wasn't caught, but
yeah, that one doesn't count. Some early movement. Looked like Swift Birch was a little too swift.
Yeah,
I just keep setting you up, don't I?
Yeah, you know, you tee it up, and I'll just try and drive it, and hope I don't shank it left.
Montreal 90. Second down repeated.
Is that why they called you Pup when you played for the Saskatchewan Roughriders?
That's a long story I'd rather not get into. Swift Birch, on the other hand, jumps offside, and that's Henry Burris using cadence and using his voice to change things up on that Montreal defensive line.
You're right, Pup.
Actually, it doesn't sound bad when you're my age.
2nd and 5. Gulliford was the target, and there was an opportunity there for Baron Miles to take it a long way, but he couldn't grab on.
Well, you know, when you look at Henry Burris, he's getting time to throw the football. Just watch how they pick up the pressure up front. I mean, look at this. Pretty good blocks. Look at this. Nothing getting in here, nothing doing up there. That's a pretty good pocket right there for Henry Burris to throw the football. Darren Davis doing a nice job at the top of your screen on Sylvester Miller. That should be a mismatch, really, for Montreal. He's getting the protection. He's just not getting the completions.
Paul McCallum standing near his 40-yard line. With the win this time. Davis is surrounded. Finds a little bit of room out there. Now he's
watch out
back. And he's got room to the far side. McCallum goes over to help run a little interference, and McCallum got over to make the tackle. A long run for 20 yards. 1st and 10, Alouettes, when we return to Taylor Field. Mike Pringle, the best running back we've seen in Canadian football in a long time. And even looking back longer, likely the best running back of all time in this league.
Well, yeah, and some of the fans right here in Taylor Field will put George Reed beside him.
Oh, and absolutely, and Reed had the overall 13-year career and more yards than Pringle, but Pringle in 9 years is closing in quickly.
He's very close, and there's 100-yard rushing games, and look how close he is to George Reed there.
And on pace for a CFL record here, likely this afternoon, one would have to think. Well, he's got a pretty good chance of getting into the end zone one more time to break the record of 18 rushing touchdowns.
Well, he'll do it this year, no question about it. But you know what's interesting? He had 4 touchdowns against Saskatchewan in their game early in the season, but he only had 71 yards. It was his 2nd lowest yardage production in any game this year. So Saskatchewan has done a nice job. They just couldn't keep him out of the end zone the last time. 4 touchdowns for Pringle, and like you mentioned, just 1 to break the rushing record in a single season.
6 times over 15 yards for Mike Pringle. He has had an outstanding run and is a huge reason that the Montreal Alouettes are first in the CFL East. There's an injured Rough Rider down near the 10-yard line.
Bamadele Ali is being attended to, and they're bringing the cart out there to get him off the field.
Injury timeout at Taylor Field. We'll be right back. Another great crowd on hand at Taylor Field. This is the final regular season game of season 2000 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So it's nice to see almost a full house here. Let's bring in Ray Morrison, who's up on the balcony, far side. Hey, Romeo, what's going on?
Yes, Guy. Over 25,000 here today, by the way, John. But I'm with Rough Rider President Bob Ellard. And Bob, an interesting announcement made here on Friday night. Tell me what was said.
Well, we announced it on November the 16th, 2003. We're going to host the Grey Cup again, and we're pretty excited about it.
No question about that. That announcement was made by John Tory. And I guess the good thing, Bob, is the fact that you've hosted this game in 1995, and there's a lot of people and support staff from the Regina and Saskatchewan area that have previous experience in putting an event like that on.
Yeah, I think most people would say we did a pretty good job in 95. So we've got a pretty good blueprint in place. So the next organizing committee will have a sort of a good blueprint to follow.
Now the work begins. Thanks for your time.
A lot of work, yeah.
All right, let's go back to John.
Bob Ellard was the chairman of that 1995 Grey Cup. First down, Montreal, and that'll be another one. On the money for Climby. He got up.
Well, it's exciting news for the people here in Saskatchewan, and you just get in the cabs coming out of the plane and at the airport, and the cab drivers are talking about it, the fact that 2003, it's a bit of a ways away still, but people are already talking about hosting that Grey Cup game. They did a super job in 1995, a game that Tracy Ham and the Baltimore Stallions, I guess they were called at that point, or were they the CFLers? Or
I think they were the Stallions.
But either way, they won the Grey Cup that year here in 95.
And that was a great day. Pringle starting to churn up a few more yards, and he ran into George White, and he goes one-on-one with White here and muscles his way through.
Yeah, and George White got hit in an area that he's not supposed to touch on television. And he got hit by big Mike Pringle, and he took a while to get up. He is very, very strong running the football. And George White has his hands full today.
I don't know if you should say hands full. Here's George White. He is second in the CFL in tackles this season. Second in a couple. That's another first down for Mike Pringle across the 40. And White was there with the tackle again. Apparently, he's made a quick recovery.
He's made a quick recovery, but he's still wincing a little bit in pain. And that's about as far as we'll go. Hey, look, he's thinking, he's looking over at the sideline, wondering not if he should maybe come out for a couple plays, because
7:22 to go till halftime. The Alouettes trying to add to their lead. Good fake by Cavillo. Rolls to his right, gets a completion over there for Climby, and Climby is inside the 20-yard line.
John, this is what play action does, and this is what Mike Pringle does. If you have success running the ball, you influence everybody defensively. If Pringle steps this way, the defense steps that way. See how they move to Pringle? Now there goes Calvillo the opposite way. Pringle will take the entire defense. Look at Arkel Trulock tackled Mike Pringle. He didn't even have the football.
Yeah, it was a super fake. It really was.
It's just a successful running game is so important to the passing game for a quarterback.
Cavillo and the Alouettes set up inside the Saskatchewan 20. Quick pass to Climby, sliding out of the backfield, and he is inside the 15 now. Wrapped up by Jackie Mitchell, number 25.
Well, talk about good drives against the wind. How about this one from Anthony Calvillo and Mike Pringle?
This began back at the 35.
Just watch one more time this play action. There's Pringle this way. Look at that. Look at the defense all sucked over there. And Anthony Calvillo wide open. Everybody in the green shirts are trying to recover to get back to Jock Climby.
5 plays to cover 62 yards. Alouettes are looking at 2nd and 5. Here's Mike Pringle. Head down inside the 10. Aaron Collins made the tackle, but Pringle will have the first down.
You can hear the hitting all the way up here in the press box from Mike Pringle. Aaron Collins delivering a blow and Mike Pringle delivering a blow, and they're pounding each other right now. Oh, that's hard running.
10th carry for Pringle. He has 49 yards. First down, Montreal. Cavillo puts it into the end zone. Intercepted.
I don't know if he got it. It was Marcus McDavid. He played the ball. He went right for the hit to begin with. I believe it was on Kevin Alexander.
Cavillo was the intent, or Cavillo was looking for Alexander.
Yeah, it was Kevin Alexander. And First of all, Marcus McDavid is thinking hit, and then that ball comes down. He tries to recover to the football and just can't hang on to it.
Almost had the interception in the end zone, which would have been huge for Saskatchewan.
Well, he would have had the knockout shot and he stuck with the hit.
Cavillo looks right back, and wide open for the touchdown is Jock Climby, who was a big part of this Alouette drive.
If Anthony Calvillo can't get back to the other side of the pocket, that play doesn't work. You just watch the slide protection from the offensive line, and when I say that, they're all going to slide this way to the right. When they slide over there, they give Anthony Calvillo time and an alley to go back to the left, and then he finds Jock Climby. Big boys up front getting it done right now for Anthony Calvillo, and a big drive against the wind for the Alouettes. It's pretty quiet in Taylor Field right now.
Got quiet in a hurry. 5th touchdown of the season for Jock Climby. Terry Baker adds to the total. Climby has the touchdown. The Alouettes have a 15-3 lead. It's the CFL Live from Taylor Field. 8 plays into the win, 75 yards, the touchdown drive.
That's huge.
Climby had a couple of catches, including the 8-yarder.
4:43 into the wind. Look at the protection. Watch the O-line slide over to their right. See how everyone goes this way. When they go that way, they open up a lane in the backside. Arkel Trueluck is the key. If Trueluck doesn't drop like that, he doesn't give up the lane, and then bam, there's the throw right into your living room.
Yeah, Trueluck just walked right out of that lane, didn't he? So Climby, number 5 on the season. Do you think he wants to get to the Grey Cup badly enough?
Well, how about this entire team?
A lot of football in this league, and a long-time standout in Montreal.
Well, John, this entire team, and Jock Climby, absolutely. He's been around for quite a while, and, you know, but you look at the Montreal Alouettes and this team, 4 straight times the bridesmaids.
In the Eastern Final.
Absolutely.
Twice to Toronto.
And
a couple of heartbreaking losses with Dave Ritchie, the head coach.
Absolutely.
And then twice to Hamilton.
When you consider, if they win this game this afternoon, or at least one of the remaining 3, they will have won at least 12 games or more in 5 straight regular seasons and not get to the Grey Cup. They are desperate to get there.
A winner or tie today, and the Alouettes will lock up the home field advantage for the Eastern Final. Gulliford makes the catch, and it'll be a Saskatchewan first down. Kelly Wiltshire over to make the stop. Gulliford working on Baron Miles.
Well, this receiving core is working on probably the strength of the Montreal defense, and that's their secondary. I truly believe that this is as good as it gets in Canadian football. When you look at Lester Smith in the middle, Baron Miles, it's going to be a long afternoon for Eric Gulliford.
Yeah, these guys are ball hawks back there, too, leading the league in interceptions with 24. Burris on first down, and he aired that one a little bit too long for Dan Farthing, who was open.
But see, reputation is a big part of this secondary, too, because, you know, Henry Burris has some room down the middle of the field here. Now watch when Dan Farthing comes across the field. He's got a little bit of room, but right over here to the left, see, right to the left, there's Baron Miles. He's standing there. There's a ball hawk. He's got 3 interceptions on the season. Right to the right was Lester Smith with 8 interceptions on the season. There was a little bit of room, but not a whole lot, and 2 ball hawks standing right there, and that'll put doubt in the quarterback's mind when he tries to deliver the pass.
2nd and 10, Saskatchewan. Flags are down on a slow snap. Good catch by Darren Davis. And it'll be a Saskatchewan first down if the penalty was against Montreal, and quite likely it is.
Well, right in the middle of your screen, it looked Steve Charbonneau and Swift Birch got off the line.
Offside. Montreal 98's decline. It's first down.
Steve Charbonneau that time moved too quickly. So a huge 23-yard gain.
See that? Stand. Look how quick he was in the backfield, and no question, a good call by the officials. It was a free play, but they'll take, obviously, the catch from Darren Davis.
3:09 till halftime. The Riders have moved inside the Montreal 40-yard line.
Crucial drive, John, for the Saskatchewan Roughriders offensively. Wind at their backs.
Burris may feel heat here. He escapes, just barely got it away for Dylan Ching, and Ching was wrapped up by Wiltshire. 3 to go till halftime. The Alouettes have the lead on Danny Barrett's Saskatchewan Roughriders. It's 15-3. Hey, Big Bird, Bert Nerney will be with you at halftime.
There's the panel right there. They'll be talking football at halftime, and in the middle is James Dudley. He'll run the whole thing. That's Chris Schultz on the outside, and Eric Tillman to the left. He's got the same hair.
Yes, same dude.
Enjoy them all at halftime.
Second and 10, Saskatchewan. Nice pass inside the 20. Farthing makes the catch, and the Riders will move the sticks.
Hey, go to the veteran. When you need the big play, Dan Farthing, is no coincidence that Dan Farthing's best 2 games of the season have been the last 2. Because the games become more important at this time of year, and Dan Farthing steps his game up, a possession receiver that makes a big catch over the middle.
Farthing was a little bit slow to get up, but he stays in there.
Well, he's had a tough year on the injury front, no question. He's been banged up all season long, playing hurt, had bad shoulder.
First and 10 Riders. Davis. And he's under that pile there. The last one on top is Barron Miles. But Swift Birch was there as well. So about 5 yards for Davis, so positive yardage there. 2:09 till halftime. Riders would really love a touchdown here.
This is the crucial area for Henry Burris. And you know, while he's had his problems down here, Henry Burris throws the ball in the middle of the field and then aims the ball when he gets in what they call the green zone. When he gets down here in scoring range, it looks like he's trying to aim it in there rather than just let it go.
Riders are set up at the 15. Burris has time, steps up, throws. It's a little high, but he brings it down. Davis fights inside the 5. Alfonso Roundtree came up to make the tackle, but Davis makes a nice catch on the play. And Burris sailed this one in.
Well, this one he threw. And the problems he's had down here is because he's trying to aim it and trying to guide the football in there rather than just deliver it. Look at him step up strong this time and then just throw that ball. Threw it right to Darren Davis. A nice throw coming across the middle, and he fights for every inch he gets to get it inside the 5-yard line.
It's enough for a first down, and Saskatchewan will have 3 cracks at it from inside the 5. Nice drive for the Roughriders. Burris, bootleg. It's open. He lost the ball. He lost the ball at the 1. They call it a touchdown. Flags are down. Curtis Marsh goes back to get it.
Curtis Marsh is going to get called for taunting. He spiked the ball right on the tacklers, and the Montreal Alouettes were on the ground, and he's very lucky for it. He got the touchdown. Burris dropped it, kind of squirted out of the pile, and landed right in Marsh's hands, and he just backed into the end zone.
Now on the replay, where did this thing exactly hit the ground?
Objectionable conduct.
Yeah.
Saskatchewan 88 after the touchdown. Penalty applied on the kickoff.
That was basically taunting.
Take the touchdown, though, with 1:17 till halftime.
Well, a little luck. First of all, good play action. Pulls Swift Birch, number 9. You see him stuck at the top of the screen there? That gets Burris outside, but he's carrying that ball out with one hand. There it is on the turf. Now look at the Alouettes. Lester Smith has a chance, and it bounces right to Curtis Marsh. They get the lucky bounce, and that's the penalty. He spikes it right on the Montreal Alouette
I don't
tackler.
know if that's a real taunt there. I mean, he spiked it right where he was standing. What do you think?
Well, he stepped towards him, and I think that's why he got called.
Okay. So the Riders jump right back into this. Curtis Marsh gets the touchdown, the assist to Henry Burris, who got it within 6 inches of the goal line before he lost it. Heads up by Marsh, though.
Well, here will be a good look at it. Watch how Henry Burris is carrying that football out in that right hand.
He loses it when he tries to tuck it in here a little bit.
Yeah, he goes to try and put it up in his chest, but he's also being hit at the same time. It bounces out of there.
Sanchez Got a hand in there.
There's the
Good
strip.
play by Sanchez, and it almost worked in Montreal's favor.
Well, look, and Swift Birch has a crack at it. Can't hang on to the
So did
football.
Smith.
And it rolls out. Look at that. Lester Smith and Swift Birch fighting over it. And Curtis Marsh says, thank you very much.
He backed into the end zone.
See, and then he took the step forward and spiked it looking right at him, and that's where he got the call. And you know what? Actually, he may not have got that call at midseason, and I tell you that because of this whole dancing thing that's been talked about so much in the CFL these days. The officials have got mandate that they have to watch this taunting rule very, very closely and make sure it doesn't become a problem in the CFL. They like to see the celebrations, but you can't be taunting, and they'll call it very close.
Gaynor and the gang continue the touchdown parade. So the Riders are into the end zone. It's a 5-point game, and Gaynor's the happiest gopher in all of Saskatchewan. But he has been for a lot of years.
Well, yeah, well, he's been the only gopher in Saskatchewan for a lot of years on this sideline. Gonna do a little maintenance on the gopher mobile. There you go.
What year is that gopher mobile?
That's a good question.
Apparently it's a 1989. Nice return brewing for the Alouettes out across the 40 to the 42. Thomas Haskins.
So the Riders bought the Gaynor mobile the Grey Cup year. Had a little extra money.
It's actually a 79.
Oh, 79.
It's a 40. Okay. It's a Ford Cortina, and I don't think you can find those anywhere, or very easily.
Is there? My question is there anyone looking for one of those anywhere?
Corey Warren with Ford's That's Golf tonight. 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. Highlights of the President's Cup. Hey, Mike Weir had a pretty good run there, beating Phil Mickelson today. If you missed it earlier, we signed up a little quickly, but the Americans had control of that and won it easily over the Internationals. Out to the 50. Thomas Haskins made the catch. 1:03 to go, so there's still time for the Alouettes to add points to a 15-10 lead.
Well, and uncharacteristically for the Saskatchewan defense, they really just sent 4 guys in the rush, and Anthony Calvillo picked apart the zone defense. That's what they're doing right now.
I'll put him in the dimmer.
Under the cover this time for Mike Pringle. And he may have a first down. He's very close to it. Stopped by Andrew Henry.
Well, I think it's just too early for Saskatchewan the end of this half to be dropping so far deep. They don't normally play this way defensively. It just they're getting deep drops, and they're making Montreal throw it underneath. But with 50 seconds left, Montreal can do that 3 or 4 times and get in the end zone.
That's how close it is for Montreal. Injured Saskatchewan Roughrider down there. Ray?
Well, as far as the Saskatchewan Roughriders defensive situation is concerned, they're going down by the tons here. Now it's Arkell Trulick, earlier Bombadeli Ali. He has perhaps partially or fully torn cartilage injury, and that's what they're saying about the right leg of Bombadeli Ali, so he has gone off for observation. He's been taken away in an ambulance to the hospital out of the stadium. John?
Well, and that probably answers my question as to why they're not playing the type of defense they've played all year. When you lose a couple of guys from your lineup, Bombadeli Ali is out. Arkell Trulick will have to be out for 3. It changes things up. You have to go to a more simplistic type of defense. So Gary Etcheverry possibly has to change things up here to end this half, and likely in the second half.
Well, they have Chance McCarty listed as a backup, along with Colin Scribner, who shares part of the duties with Sheldon Napustik.
But this
one
is
of the
always
interior lineman spots.
This has always been an attack defense all year long, and they don't hide it either. They don't disguise much. They line up on the line of scrimmage, and Charlie Taft said in the press conference yesterday, it's like a punt rush on every play when they play defense. They just come with everybody.
Alouettes only needed inches for a first down, and they'll get it there with 46 seconds to play till halftime. What a gorgeous afternoon in Saskatchewan. So Tyson St. James is also listed as a backup, and he's had a fairly interesting rookie season as the #2 draft pick by the Riders overall. First down, Montreal. Calvillo. As Haskins makes the catch And he's rolled out by Andrew Henry. He is very cool, this quarterback for the Alouettes these days.
Well,
really playing solid football.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because he has a nice touch on that pass. It's not always arm strength for quarterbacks. Sometimes you have to have a little bit of touch, and he just floated that one over the defender and into Thomas Haskins' hands. But you're right, he had good composure running to his left, throwing a touch pass down the sideline.
Alouettes, first down, Saskatchewan 20. Cavillo has Haskins. Had him, and overthrew him just a little bit into the wind.
Well, they had him by formation, John, because they brought two receivers down across the field and then slipped Thomas Haskins out of the backfield, hoping to sort of pick off George White, who was trying to cover him to get to the outside.
That's a bit of a mismatch, isn't
Well,
it?
what they're trying to do is call what offenses like to call a rub. Bring the receivers down to try and pick off the linebackers and get your running back out of the backfield and down the sideline.
2nd and 10, Alouettes. Big play for the Saskatchewan defense. Cavillo had a little time, and he's inside the 10 with Tyree Davis. Now 22 seconds to go, so lots of time for the Alouettes to punch one home here.
Well, yeah, and you know, normally throughout the season, Montreal at this point would at least give one chance to Mike Pringle along the way. Inside the 10-yard line, Pringle gets at least 1 or 2 cracks at it. But remember that great play action they ran earlier to Jack Climbing on the touchdown.
Cavillo has 22 seconds to work with. Some confusion down there for the Alouettes offense.
Changing the play, he went to shotgun.
Cavillo looks to the end zone. Touchdown! Kevin Alexander has the touchdown at the very back of the end zone.
John, I think Anthony Calvillo saw blitz coming, looked at the line of scrimmage and audible to a deep pattern to Kevin Alexander in a one-on-one. He knew the safety wasn't going to be there, so he goes deep. Jackie Mitchell tried to roll deep to help out, but he couldn't get there in time.
That's a huge drive for the Alouettes in response to that Saskatchewan touchdown.
Well, yeah, and when you look at Anthony Calvillo and talk about his composure, that takes composure. You're down there knocking on the door. You don't panic and go with the play, even though it might not be the right play. Anthony Calvillo recognized the defense, changed it on the line of scrimmage, went to the right man, and completed it for the touchdown.
Terry Baker adds to the Alouette total, and it's now a 12-point game once more. Alouettes on top of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Kevin Alexander has his 3rd touchdown.
Well, every 4 catches, Kevin Alexander goes in the end zone. But this is what Calvillo sees. He sees Aaron Collins up there in the line of scrimmage. He knows it's blitz. He's got the one-on-one Antoine Hunter on Kevin Alexander. Alexander's got the go route. He drops back into shotgun, looks at him all the way, and delivers the football right on the spot where only Alexander can come up with the catch. See, this was the audible right here. Alexander, see all these guys on the line of scrimmage? He's got one-on-one with no safety help, and I'm going right down Main Street. You just have to throw it up to me, and I'll come run under that football. It's awful tough to cover that pattern with no safety in the middle.
So after the Roughriders manage their first touchdown, the Alouettes come right back into the wind and get another one.
Talk about quiet. Should we be whispering?
I think you should. Put on your golf voice. Talk like a golf guy.
Anthony Calvillo, I think, has a 9-iron, John.
Ben Ross returning for Saskatchewan into the final 12 seconds now of the opening half.
Well, for Saskatchewan right now, you just sort of get out of the half. You don't have enough time with 11 seconds left. You definitely don't want to turn the ball over and give Montreal a field goal in your end of the field. So just get in at halftime, regroup, and try and come back in the second half with some adjustments made. You know their game plan coming in defensively was to stop Pringle running the football. They've done a pretty nice job there. Calvillo with play action has hurt him throwing the football.
Yeah, Pringle's got about 50 yards, and that's, well, I guess a little below average for Pringle looking back at his career. This one is whistled down.
think Demtrition's way offside there. It looked like he had the wrong snap count, was about 5 yards down the field.
Final home game of the regular season for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Last night at the Riders annual $250 a plate dinner, a sold-out crowd for the Plaza of Honor inductees, including Dave Ridgway,
Timer,
Bruce
please
Cowley.
reset the clock to 11 seconds. Offside, 88 Saskatchewan. Yardage is declined. Timer, start the clock on my ready.
And Cleveland Van also inducted onto the Plaza of Honor. They raised over $210,000.
Over 1,200 people, record number in attendance at that function. It was a great success for the Riders.
Dylan Ching wasn't watching, so now 6 seconds remain. So congratulations to the entire group. Cheryl Shepard was the chairperson of the annual evening. Great support for football in Saskatchewan at all times.
And they've supported this guy here throughout the season. That's had some ups and downs for Saskatchewan. The fans here in Regina have been behind Henry Burris. They see his great potential, his great arm strength. He's tremendous in the community, and they look to a bright future with him at the controls. And the only question is, can they keep him here for as long as they'd like to? And believe me when I tell you, negotiations are underway as we speak to re-sign Henry Burris and get him back for the next couple of years here in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, in spite of the lack of victories that Burris has been able to put up with the rookie head coach Danny Barrett, it's a pretty good team, Barrett and Burris. And there's lots of promise for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in spite of all the changes that have been made on the football field. So they've had to make an awful lot of adjustments. Should be the final play. Burris is wrapped up. Oh, hang on, there's 1 second left. Steve Charbonneau.
Well, with 1 second left, Saskatchewan, we're going to have to snap the ball again. And it's 3rd down. I mean, Montreal won't get a chance to get their field goal team out there, but they'll have to take one more snap. Montreal will go all out, which means Henry Burris gets hits one more time. Is it just you and me left in the building, or?
It got very, very quiet. See if we can find a crowd shot. Yeah, there's people still.
There's still people. Whoa.
Yeah.
They are quiet right now.
So Henry Burris takes a knee. The Riders drove for a touchdown.
Bert and Ernie's coming up next at halftime.
Yeah, Big Bird will be there too. Hang in.
The CFL live on TSN at the half.
Going to turn into Oscar the Grouch if he keeps talking that way about us. And not a real pretty half of football, but I suppose it's a good sign for the Montreal Alouettes that they can look up and say they're up by 12 points.
Yeah, anytime you can win on the road, it's a big win, and they have to be really happy with the way they played this first 30 minutes. It's, you know, coaches talk all the time about the importance of making plays. Well, I'm going to show you two plays that cost the Riders 11 points in this first half. This first play early in the second quarter, Curtis Marsh has an opportunity for a big play. It's a low throw, but you have to make this catch. You just have to. Later, a few minutes later, McDavid drops what's a sure interception. The next play, Climby follows up with a touchdown. 2 plays, 11 points. You can't beat a football team as good as the Montreal Alouettes if you don't make those kinds of plays.
Well, let's flip it around a little bit, and Saskatchewan has been opportunistic at points in this football game, taking advantage of a mishandled return. Fumble, they get 3 points off of that. There's a penalty on Montreal, who's the least penalized team in the league with 122 penalties on the season. They're offsides. Saskatchewan's drive is kept alive, and they end up going in the end zone. And then 3rd and 2, we saw it in the first quarter. They come up big. They have been opportunistic. They just haven't had as many plays, Chris, and they're going to need more in the second half if in fact, they're going to win.
Agreed, but I think Montreal has the opportunity here, and if I'm Charlie Taff, I'm going in that locker room with a big smile on my face saying, guys, this is for first place in the East, and this is the goal that we've been striving for, to get those other Eastern teams at home where we play our best football, especially in the first quarter. Coaches aren't responsible for players' motivation, for their focus. But every now and then, if you want to, you can change that focus. And I think Charlie Taft should walk in there enthusiastic as all heck and say, guys, let's end it in the 3rd quarter. Let's not even wait for the 4th quarter. Let's get first.
And you got a feeling you'll hear from Mike Pringle before the end of this one. Quiet half, and you still look up and he's got about 50 yards. Alouettes have so many weapons: Calvillo, Pringle, Tyree Davis, Browning, Jock Climby, and here's another one, Kevin Alexander. 12-point lead for the Owls. Lots more ahead. Welcome back. They've been going back and forth all afternoon out in Calgary. Somebody scores, the other team scores. Big one so far, Jimmy Oliver, a 65-yard TD catch from Damon Allen at 17-17 at the break. Remember, if BC wins this game and Saskatchewan loses, BC has wrapped up the third and final playoff spot in the West. And yes, we have a new leader in our internet expert picks, Matt Dunnigan, with that big grin because he is now first overall all by himself. Toronto didn't turn out to be such a good pick for Eric and I yesterday. Today, we all have Calgary and we all have Montreal. As we head to break, the phone numbers you need to get a ticket to see a CFL game. Here are your numbers at the break. The Alouettes leading on the scoreboard and in the detailed statistics. Calvillo already with 177 yards passing, and Saskatchewan just 126 yards total, of course. Remember, they did basically nothing against the wind in the first quarter. Our Ray Morrison spoke with Alouettes coach Charlie Taft.
Charlie, talk to me about that first half. Obviously, to answer back with a touchdown after they got one was huge.
Well, that was big right there at the end of the half. Nice job of the 3-minute drill. Anthony did a great job moving the team because he's calling the plays in that situation. Made a couple of great checks at the line against their overload blitz look. So that's what you have to do to against this team. And, you know, we had some good plays. We dropped a few balls. We dropped the punt there early in the first half. But we overcame it, and we needed to respond here and put a nice drive together.
Thanks for doing this.
Okay, Ray, sure.
All right, so you're the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I guess it's not technically a must-win unless BC wins, but in all likelihood, they have to win this game. What do you do?
I think you put all the cards on the table. All those plays, the trick plays that you practiced during the year, you got to break them out now. You got to reach down deep into that bag of tricks and make it happen. Whether it's special teams, offense, or defense, you've got to go out there and you got to lay it on the line. You can't leave anything unturned. You have to put it all out there, Chris. I think Saskatchewan's got to go for broke here in the second half.
And they still have to be fundamentally sound. What Saskatchewan tries to do is they try to slant one direction towards Mike Pringle, and when it is successful, it works like a charm. Here you see the defensive line slant to their right. When they slant to their right, they're slanting right into the direction. It's a little bit of kind of a guessing game on who's going to be where at the right time. If they can do that and get them in second and long situations, they have a shot. But it's a matter of playing a fundamentally sound game, Eric.
Chris, one of the things that jumped out in this first half was 14 points in the second quarter for Montreal. 14 points into the win. There's nothing fancy about this football team. They're just quietly efficient. Charlie Taft's done a great job. Montreal is the better football team. I think all they do this half, simply manage the football, avoid turnovers. You win the game because you're the better football team.
And the history of the Montreal Alouettes, they've always been a better second half team, at least in the Mike Pringle era, because they start to sort of wear down a defense and plug and bang and bang. And remember again, Pringle just one touchdown short of that all-time record for rushing TDs in a season. Saskatchewan desperate. One half of football remaining, perhaps in their season. They need more from Curtis Marsh. Perhaps not more of this excess celebration stuff, but more of the touchdown thing.
Back at Taylor Field with Roughriders head coach Danny Barrett. Danny, tell me a little bit about the first half. They got some momentum early on some big returns, and then they answered back after you scored one. They put one in the end zone.
Well, that's true. And I think the biggest one was right before the end of the half there. You know, they were able to drive the length of the field on us after we got the momentum and everything, which is a sign of a good football club. At the same time, there's a lot of football left, and what we need to do is this third quarter is to get back into the same with some points.
Thanks, Danny.
Thank you.
Riders coach Danny Barrett. Let's go upstairs to John Wells.
Well, the Roughriders are down by 12, and that last drive by the Alouettes could be the killer here this afternoon if the Roughriders, Glenn, don't respond in a hurry.
Well, you know, I love what Matt Dunnigan said. Pull out all the stops, because when you look at the standings right now, BC and Calgary are tied at halftime in their game. BC wins, really ends Saskatchewan hope in the Western Division. So
well, BC wins and Saskatchewan loses, it's over.
It's
right?
over.
Yeah.
And that's why when Matt Dunnigan said, you know, it's time to pull out all the stops. And I think really that's what the Saskatchewan Roughriders have to do in this second half. If you have trick plays, run them now. If you have a reverse off this opening kickoff return, run it now, because there's no tomorrow.
There's no tomorrow for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but of course that is not decided in Calgary as yet. 17-17 at the half between the Lions and the Stampeders. Henry Burris has shown sparks here today, no question about it.
Well,
we're underway.
Burris is strong arm. You got to go deep with it too.
Bendras still standing. Now markers come down on the return, and the stop by Sheldon Benoit. So now is the hour for Henry Burris, 9 of 19, 132 yards.
Very efficient game for Anthony Calvillo. 13 of 19, 3 touchdowns, 0 INTs, which is the 0. That's where they want the 0 in the INT.
Illegal block on the run back. Saskatchewan 25, first down.
And Calvillo was cool as a cucumber on that last drive that got the Alouettes the touchdown to make it 22-10.
Yeah, you heard Charlie Tapp at halftime say that he calls his own plays in the hurry-up offense. That's what they were in the 3-minute drill, hurry-up drill, and Calvillo made some nice checks on the line of scrimmage. And one of the big reasons they're having that success, if you look on first down production, 7.7 yards for Montreal. That really helps your quarterback out versus 2.2 for Saskatchewan.
Riders keep it on the ground, and a good run for Davis. Darren Davis has a first down and about 5 to spare. Kelly Wiltshire got over to make the tackle. Good start for Saskatchewan after taking the penalty on the return. They're back to about where they would have been.
Yeah, and when I say they should go out with the trick plays, just like Matt Dunnigan suggested, it's not on every single down that you run the triple reverses. You still need to stick with your game plan, run the football, have balance in your offense. But if there is a chance to throw it down the field or run some trick plays or some reverses, Saskatchewan really has to do it right now. They have to win this football game.
18 yards for Darren Davis in the previous play. Burris puts it up. And Gulliford couldn't hang on. Pass was there. Catchable ball. Lester Smith was in the area, and footsteps might have been heard.
Well, first of all, Henry Burris gets time to throw the football because Mark Washington from the right of your screen is coming on a blitz, but he comes so late and from so far back that he doesn't get any pressure on Burris. That gives him a chance to throw. And yeah, Eric Gulliford should have caught that one. He had Lester Smith bearing down on him and maybe thought more of Mr. Lester than he did of the football.
2nd and 10, Roughriders. Right near the 45. Second half just nicely underway. Burris stands in, and he'll get hammered to the turf. Sylvester Miller was there and waiting, and Swift Birch came from the other side.
Sylvester Miller gets the sack, but they did a nice little stunt up front to create some confusion in that offensive line. I'm talking about Jason Richards. Sylvester Miller is the guy who's going to end up with the stat. But there's a nice little stunt right in this front of your line here. Sylvester Miller is going to finish it off. But see the stunt there by Jason Richards? That causes some confusion, and then Miller turns off his man and comes up with the tackle on Henry Burris.
Third sack of the afternoon for the Alouettes, and the Riders are kicking it away. McCallum has the breeze at his back. Takes a funny hop there and rolls backwards as flags fly, and you could have expected that. Sort out the penalties. No yards definitely involved. Anthony Calvillo gets his hands on the football when we return to Taylor Field. Thomas Haskins got the Alouettes off to a superb start on the opening kickoff. Instant field position on a wonderful return.
Yeah, he really set the tone for the game for the Montreal Alouettes when he made 4 Saskatchewan tacklers miss in the open field, got the ball up to midfield, and he ended up capping off a drive. Montreal Alouettes scoring the first major of the football game on a catch from Thomas Haskins, and here is that touchdown right here. Anthony Calvillo to Haskins out in the flat.
5 plays later, they're into the end zone. Alouettes haven't looked back, and when Saskatchewan scored, Montreal responded in a hurry. Here's Mike Pringle. wrapped up by Andrew Henry. Mike Pringle with 18 touchdowns to tie a CFL record for rushing majors in a season, and he's on the verge of breaking that. Quite frankly, I thought he might have had it by now. Well, the Alouettes have been in close range, but they've thrown the ball to the end zone.
When you consider that he scored 4 against Saskatchewan earlier in the year, yeah, you would think that he'd have it by now, but give credit to the defense. They have done that, and that's been the goal coming in, to stop Mike Pringle. They've slowed him down. They can't stop Anthony Calvillo. That's the problem.
Calvillo to the far side. He'll get the first down. Jock Climby run out of bounds by Jackie Mitchell. Climby has been a big part of the Alouette story here today, too.
Well, when you look at this offense and the entire team from Montreal, really, one of the categories that they lead in the CFL is their giveaway, takeaway category. They're a plus 20. And one of the reasons for that is Mike Pringle. When they have an offense that is basically a running offense, you can control the football. They've attempted almost 100 less passes than the Calgary Stampeders, for example. So you can control the football with the running game, and less turnovers happen because of it.
Out pattern far side. And Davis was the target of Calvillo that time. They couldn't hook up.
And when you look through the standings in the history of the CFL, usually the teams that finish first in the division win the giveaway, takeaway category. And that's heading into this game, what the Owls have done offensively. First in quite a few of those categories.
Yeah, number 1 in the takeaway giveaway category, plus 20.
Yeah.
Which is a long way ahead of the rest of the pack. 2nd and 10, Alouettes. At the 54, shotgun Calvillo. Looks to the near side, no one open. Calvillo takes off for the first time today. And Chance McCarty took him out of bounds.
Well, one name that we really haven't talked about today is Ben Cahoon, who's become sort of a favorite target for Anthony Calvillo, and I wonder if Ben Cahoon is getting open or if he's just being covered very closely. And here's a shot of Ben Cahoon, and he is wide open.
He's the Alouettes' leading receiver, number 86.
But Anthony Calvillo is looking the other way and kind of running for his life on the play.
So the Riders' defense gives up a little, but they'll force Baker into a kicking situation from Montreal 45. Gulliford is deep for Saskatchewan, standing near his 12-yard line.
You know, and this might not be a bad time for Danny Barrett to talk to Henry Burris about running the no-huddle offense, because they have the wind at their back right now, but it'll run out in a hurry.
Gulliford was forced to the sideline, and there wasn't much running room there. Tracy Gravely forced him out of bounds. 1st and 10, Saskatchewan. We'll return to CFL Live after this. Burris has Marsh, and Marsh has huge yardage, streaking out across midfield and inside Montreal territory, near the 50.
Well, watch the move in the open field from Curtis Marsh. Wow. Little shake and bake, and he's gone. Only one tackler there to get him down, and he can't do it.
45 yards for Curtis Marsh. Huge play for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, trailing by 12 here. Lots of time to get back to even with Montreal in a critical game for Saskatchewan. Marsh's 4th catch. He has 92 yards now.
Earlier in the year, Curtis Marsh was on pace to break the Ryder record for receiving in a single season that was set by Joey Walters in 1981. He was on pace for 1,700. That dropped when he missed a game, and his production dropped off over the last 4. He's no longer on that same pace, but if he makes some more plays just like this one on the quick slant, and then the great move on Davis Sanchez and then Lester Smith, he just may get back on that pace.
That really was shake and bake, wasn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah. That's shake and bake, and down goes Lester. This was the big one right here. A little shake with the shoulders. Lester Smith down on the ground trying to pick up all the clothing he lost. Curtis Marsh down the field. And that's a very good tackler in the open field in Lester Smith.
So the injured Alouette still being tended to down near the 40. Tito Hanna is the injured Montreal Alouette. We'll take a timeout and return to Taylor Field in a moment. Catch It's the next edition of Sports Desk with Gino Retta. All the stories, scores, and highlights. A little golf, little football.
Well, I got this game. We've got Sunday in the National Football League. Mike Weir with the big win today in the golf for Phil Mickelson.
7 o'clock Eastern, Sports Desk with Gino Retta. That would be 4 o'clock in your time zone, Mr. Suter.
Well, I'll be in this time zone, though, so what does that make it?
You're usually in a different time zone. I mean, just standing beside you, it's lucky that you're here.
All I know is that it's happy hour in my time zone most of the time.
And you've never missed one, I know that. Curtis Marsh.
Well, this is updated, so that Curtis Marsh was #1. He's now in behind Robert Gordon after Gordon's big game 2 nights ago in Winnipeg. So Curtis Marsh trying to climb back up that ladder and get into #1 spot.
He's been the leading receiver most of the season, number 88 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and a big 45-yard play before the injury. So now we're back to live action, and the Riders have an opportunity here. Nice play action fake by Burris. Stands in and delivers deep, end zone toss. Almost intercepted, but almost on the money too. Lester Smith got his hands up.
Again, that was a 65-yard throw on a rope from Henry Burris. He needed 67 yards, though.
Yeah, Bendras was the target, and he didn't miss by much. Smith reacted well and made a pretty good play.
Well, Bendras is in behind Lester Smith, but he recovers pretty well. He's got good catch-up speed and runs under that football, doesn't hang on to it. That would have been his 9th interception on the season if he could have snagged that one, but he recovered well.
He is the leading interceptor in the CFL. Lester Smith. 2nd and 10. Here comes the heat. Burris unloads in a hurry far side. Catch is made by Bendras, but he's short of the first down.
Yeah, when you're talking about all-star safeties in the CFL, Lester Smith, when you look in the East, and I think Greg Frères in the West is having a breakout season for the Calgary Stampeders at that position. So it'd be tough to make a decision between Lester Smith and Greg Frères, in my mind, for the All-Canadian at the free safety spot.
Although you might lean to the guy from SFU a little bit.
Now,
if it
don't
came
say
down.
that. Lester Smith's going to get the tape, and he's going to say, wait a minute, I'm leading the league. No, that's a real tough one. Both having great seasons.
Frères from SFU has a couple of interceptions for touchdowns.
That's right.
49-yard try for McCallum. Ching gets it down.
There you go. There you go.
And it's on the money. Looked like Suter and Ridgway were still playing there. It's the CFL Live from Taylor Field in Regina. Riders Plaza of Honor inducted Glenn Suter in 1998. Last year, Kent Austin and Ray Elgard went in, and over the weekend, a couple of more CFL stars from Saskatchewan were added.
John, this past Friday night, 3 more inductees went into the Saskatchewan Roughriders Plaza of Honor. Bruce Cowie is a past president, and Cleveland Van was a linebacker with the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the late 70s. And, of course, robo-kicker Dave Ridgway, who had a great career here with the Roughriders. Of course, he's the man who holds the record for the longest field goal in CFL history, as well as most field goals in one game. In these parts, he will always be known for the kick, the Grey Cup winning kick that lifted the Riders to their Grey Cup win over the Hamilton Tiger Cats in 1989. And a 1998 nominee into the Plaza of Honor, Glenn Suter, was the holder for that kick. Back to you, John.
Boy,
Not that I haven't heard about that hold for the last 6 years.
Boy, they are really scooping the bottom of the barrel to get the kickers in the Plaza of Honor, aren't they?
John Klein made the catch there.
I mean, they
55.
They are really going way down in that barrel.
Here's
when
the
they're
kicker.
inducting my buddy Dave Ridgway.
Are you the first kicker up there?
John, I don't know about that, but there's no telling how good I could have been if I'd have had a good holder out there all those years.
Listen, I feel your pain. I know how difficult it is to carry old 27
Oh, and
week
I carried
after
him
week.
a lot.
And you carried him a lot of years.
Listen, congratulations on being inducted now. It's a pretty good weekend, isn't it? It's a lot of fun.
It's, you know, it's typical Saskatchewan football. They're going to bring you in and they're going to do it right. And you've been through it. You know how nice it is. And it's very flattering. It's nice to have the family here.
Now, Dave, I've heard about the kick. I was there for the kick in 1989. But As many times as I've seen it and heard about it, he says it was the hole, not the kick.
Well, you know, the interesting thing here, John, is Bob Poley's wandering around on the sideline. He insists it was the center and the throw that he threw back. Yeah, so I'm not getting a whole lot of credit for any of that, really.
One kick in the history of this franchise, and we've lived it for 12 years now. Well, maybe 11. Here's
But
Pringle again.
Up here with one of the clutch kickers of all time in Canadian Football League history. And Dave, I got to ask you this. Is the 89 kick the best memory?
Well, I think it is, but Glenn, I mean, I'm sure you'll agree with this. Certainly the... oh, they managed to find that one. That's an old clip right there. You know, I'm sure you'll agree with me that one of the real highlights for us, I mean, we had a great friendship out there, and we've got to play with a whole lot of really good people.
Dave, we've played that thing so many times, you'll notice how off the color is. We've worn the damn color off.
Well, I've noticed you've gone soft on it, too, because you're trying to make Glenn look slimmer.
Well, he was slimmer then.
That's no question about that. Yeah, you know, I mean, when you look back, but longest kick ever, that still stands.
Yeah.
And that you had the wind at your back.
No, we were kicking into the wind on that one.
Oh, the story changes as the years go on.
Yeah, that was the only windy day in Skydome history.
That was a 60-yarder, which still stands today.
Oh.
Alouettes continue this drive, 2nd and 9 at the Saskatchewan 44. Here's Pringle. He'll get the first down. McCullough over to make the tackle.
Mike Pringle starting to gain a little momentum here in this game. And this is about when he starts to do it. You know, midway through the 3rd into the 4th is when Pringle turns it on. A couple of injuries up front for Saskatchewan, and all of a sudden that defense is reeling a little bit, stopping the run. Arkel Trulak is back in. Bamadeli Ali is not.
So the Alouettes with a 22-13 lead, 6:18 to go, 3rd quarter. And Cavillo has the Owls marching again. Pringle is inside the 30. Close to 5, maybe 4 yards for Mike Pringle. So anyway, as I continue for the rest of my life to relive that kick, and in particular the hold, congratulations again on
John, I appreciate
being added to the
It's always nice to see you. Suit Dog.
Congratulations, buddy.
Thanks, pal.
Well deserved. It was the hold, though. Okay.
It was the kick. Cahoon has not been a busy receiver for the Alouettes so far this afternoon.
Well, Dave's gone now, so I can bring one other thing up. By the way, we had this competition before every single game, which was hitting the goalpost, right?
Now, how many times have I heard this story?
I am the champion of that game, so I just wanted to, now that he's gone and can't rebut that comment, just so he knows.
Mike is turned off.
The last thing, his mic is now turned off, and Montreal Alouettes may be able to just turn this game off in a second because they are rolling down here.
So you're still taking credit for what Lucy Van Pelt did every week on Peanuts, right? In the cartoon strip.
That's basically it. You're right.
She put down a lot of holds for Charlie Brown.
Well, you know, but the funny thing about it is Dave mentioned Bob Pulley, who was the center on that, in that tandem that we had going for quite a few years in Saskatchewan. And maybe the best center ever when it comes to field goal snaps. He could adjust the ball to give me the laces perfectly, and I often felt that he was trying to eliminate the holder position. He was that good, but it was a lot of fun, and like Dave mentioned, we play with a lot of good people.
Not much down, about 1/3 in inches for this Montreal Alouette team. Al's trying to secure top spot in the CFL East. A win or a tie here over the Roughriders will get Charlie Tapp first place in the East for the 2nd time in 2 years.
When he looks at this game, I think what he'll be most impressed with his offense is that they've done a nice job driving the football when they've been into the wind. You know, and you want to make as much as you can and as much yardage as you can up when you have the wind at your back. And right now, Charlie Tapp and that offense just keep moving the football into the wind and keeping it out of Henry Burris's hands when he has it at his back.
Well, a running game
helps that out a whole bunch.
Helps an awful lot. And the threat of a running game with number 27 getting the ball as frequently as he does keeps Saskatchewan thinking about it even if they don't have the ball on the ground. There are penalty markers down as Pringle carried again.
Major foul, face mask, Saskatchewan 92. First down.
So that won't help the Rider cause. Sheldon Napastuk singled out there.
Well, can Mike Pringle break the record right now? Again, inside the 10-yard line is usually where he sees the football.
The record we're talking about is 19 rushing touchdowns in a season, and Pringle is there with 18 right now. He gets the call here. And did he get there? Yes.
They gave it to him.
Managed to just slide over the line, and it was difficult to tell, but he now has the CFL record for 19 touchdowns in a single season. Mike Pringle, it was only a matter of time.
No, and fitting the way he got the record, too. Inside the 10-yard line, handed it to Mike Pringle and let him pound away, and Mike Pringle will take the entire Saskatchewan defense with him on his shoulders into the end zone. Typical Mike Pringle run to break the record for all-time rushing touchdowns in a single season. 19 and counting for Mike Pringle.
Jerry James established the record in 1957 with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Jim Germany tied it with the Edmonton Eskimos in 1981, and Mike Pringle has set the new standard with 19 rushing touchdowns in a single season.
That's what you just mentioned. There's Jim Germany, 1981 in Edmonton, 18, tied with Jerry James, and Mike Pringle 19 and counting. Now he's going to get a little cushion.
Did I mention that Jerry James used to be my hockey coach with the Sturgeon Creek Blackhawks back in Winnipeg?
Oh, we're really going back now.
He was my hockey coach.
Well, here's a little CFL history for you right there, and that's the run that Mike Pringle set the record, and
not over by much. And
go in the record books. It's another hard run inside from the toughest running back in Canadian Football League history to bring down, and Mike Pringle. And
yeah, he just powered his way through.
No disrespect to George Reed.
4 Roughriders there to just get across the line in behind Brian Chu in the offensive line.
When you look at all the touchdowns he scored, here's how he's done it. 1 to 5 yard runs, he's got 11 of those down inside the 10. He's going to get it 6 to 10 yards, 5, and then the long ones, he's had 3 long runs for touchdowns. So we'll put 1 in that 6 to 10 yard category to add to that total. 19 total for Mike Pringle.
Now it's a long road back for the Roughriders. 3:45 to go in the third. This is Bendros on the return, and the Riders have fallen behind 29 to 13.
You know, when I talked to Charlie Tapp yesterday in the press conference about if, in fact, the Montreal Alouettes were to win this game and clinch first place in the East, did he have concerns, and which players would he sit down for the remaining 2 games? And Mike Pringle will likely not be one of them, not because Charlie Tapp doesn't want to sit him down and
Mike
rest
Pringle
him.
won't stand for it.
Mike Pringle won't stand for it. So when you look at his totals and touchdowns at 19, and you think that if Montreal hangs on to win this football game, which it looks like they will, they clinch first place, Pringle won't be a guy that rests.
Bendros on the far side has a couple wrapped up rather quickly. He is a terrifically talented running back, very determined individual without question, a guy loaded with pride.
Well, he's reestablished the standards for running back, and that's, you know, that's saying something. I mean, it used to be if you could break the 1,000-yard plateau as a running back, you were doing something. Now it's about 1,500 because Mike Pringle gets 1,500 a year.
Team alert here, punt team alert.
And now he's added to that total as well.
He's just under 100 today, but he'll have it by the time we're done. Sanchez, the interception, and still going. Davis Sanchez, what a great move to score the touchdown.
The pride of Port Coquitlam, Davis Sanchez in Vancouver. It's a Canadian. Oh, there is another new version of a dance, the shoe shine. Oh, they're getting creative, aren't they?
Yeah,
Davis Sanchez, you know, in my books, the all-Canadian corner right now, at least one of them. I mean, he is having, that's his 8th interception on the season. That one goes for a touchdown.
That ties him for the league lead, doesn't it?
First-round pick in 1999. Port Coquitlam told me today that he grew up watching through the fence the BC Lions practice. He lives and spends the off-season very close to the BC Lions practice facility, and he spent the his childhood looking through the fence at guys like
Lou Pasaglia.
BC Lions defensive backs like Grady Cavness, Joe Fort-Wayne, guys like that. You know, when you look at around the league the last couple of days,
there you go,
the last couple of weeks, if teams spend as much time practicing football as they did practicing their dance routines, you wonder what we could see.
I think this is done away from the practice field, to be really truthful.
So now what happens is you have a roster full of players, a coaching staff, a choreographer that's added to the salary cap, something that the league will have to look at next year. They have to reestablish a new salary cap to take care of choreography.
I wonder if the leaders of the dance troops and cheerleaders on CFL teams help out with a suggestion or two.
Hey, you know what? I talked to the refs before the game about the dancing and how it had become a little bit of a problem. And it was a Montreal game against Winnipeg, you know, last week. That's where the problem was created. But they said, you know what? It's part of the game right now. It's allowed under the league rules. The fans enjoy it. And they said as long as it doesn't take too long, they don't have a problem.
Zarka made the grab, and it's rolled out of bounds. Stay tuned following the game for the TSN Turning Points, brought to you by Super 8. Story at Taylor Field as the Roughriders try and keep their playoff hopes alive. 36-13, the Alouettes have scored a couple of touchdowns in the last two quarters. Darren Davis for only a couple on first down, Saskatchewan. Riders have to win today and hope that the BC Lions lose to stay alive. But if the Lions win and the Roughriders lose, it's all over for Saskatchewan as far as playoff hopes are concerned.
Yeah, and then the Saskatchewan Roughriders will wrap up the season in Edmonton and then in the final week in BC. So that's exactly what they're looking at.
Second down on a bunch. That'll do it for a first. Curtis Marsh made the catch.
Well, we've said it all year, though, and I think when you look back on the Saskatchewan Roughriders season, they had that nice run around Labor Day where they put 4 wins in a row together, and then they had some key injuries. Their left tackle, John Terry, went down. Chris Zarka, the fullback, went down. Dan Farthing, Darren Davis, their starting tailback.
Yeah, they played one game without those 4 starters in. Here's Farthing inside the 40. And the Riders are certainly not done yet with a quarter to go and 1 minute left in the third.
Well, no, there's lots of time, and I'm not ruling out that they come back and win. But that's when you look back on their football season, you think that they had that winning streak going and they were gaining confidence every time they won another football game, and then they had some injuries. It changed things in the lineup, and when you change things up on a young team, it makes it awful difficult. Then they went and that losing streak began.
Henry Burris wide open. Ching couldn't hang on.
Reputation. It's reputation. When your secondary gains a reputation, it affects everybody offensively. And Dylan Ching knows that the Montreal secondary is a hard-hitting secondary and a ball-hawking secondary. And those arms look a little close to the chest there, didn't they?
Yeah.
And Davis Sanchez already has taken one back to the house.
Second and 10 for Henry Burris. Got the guy there. Great catch by Darren Davis. Well, he just looked over his shoulder. He's made a couple of solid catches today.
Was it ever? Like, that was, not only was that in a crowd, but that was difficult if he's all by himself. 3 Alouettes, Stephon Reed there, Lester Smith getting ready to pop him as he catches that one, and Mark Washington, he had to reach back and kind of pin it against his helmet.
Last play, third quarter. Burris stands up, just got it away. Davis again. He's up. He laterals to Marsh. And then Marsh was going to flip it back to Davis again when he went down.
Well, that's what we talked about, pulling out all the stops. Got to do it to get in the end zone here.
That's final play of this quarter. Timeout at Taylor Field, Regina on the CFL Live.
The CFL live on TSN at the quarter.
Well, Saskatchewan driving, but I believe it was the great philosopher Dunniginnis who once said that there is a point in every CFL game where the outcome is still in the balance, and there's a few minutes where one team has to seize control, and I think we saw it on that Alouettes drive, Mr. Dunniginnis.
But you pointed it out to me, James.
Oh, don't. Hey, it's okay. You don't have. Okay.
Very astute. Very astute. Yeah, I'll give you one there. Very astute. We saw the Pringle drive and how Mike just marched it down, followed his offensive line into the end zone. They seized the opportunity. The game was in the balance, and they took control of the football game. And then what do we see the next series, James? Davis, Sanchez, interception, and they take it into the end zone, just dominating this football team in the second half. Chris, Montreal is showing their strength.
And I think Charlie Taft got the message saying that, guys, we win this third quarter, we're going to win the game, and it was the way they did it, the way they blocked right at the point of attack. The fact was that a lot of these runs, Mike Pringle didn't even get touched until he was 5 or 6 yards down the football field. You watch this play, this is a coordination of 7 or 8 different people all doing their job to perfection. And right there, I think the running back hasn't even been touched. There's nobody on him. Blocking is a two-part. First, you make the collision. The second part, you sustain the block. And I think Montreal's offensive line is doing a wonderful job of setting the image as maybe the best offensive line in the Canadian Football League, Eric.
And, Chris, if we're going to talk about this unit, let's talk about one guy in particular that doesn't get enough credit, Brian Chew. When Mike Sutherland, the center, went down in training camp, Chew moved from guard to center. That's a critical position. He has to make all the calls. He's the quarterback of that group. This is a good group. It's made a great running back like Mike Pringle look even better. They're playing terrific football right now.
We have a bit of good news for Saskatchewan fans. It comes from the other game going on today, Calgary and BC. They've been going back and forth all day, but Calgary has just jumped on top, 38-24. Kelvin Anderson, as you see, 3 touchdown runs. They're late in the third quarter in that one. Back to Saskatchewan. Riders need a rally.
Danny Barrett has to come back and rally is right, and it can start right here, like finishing off this drive if Henry Burris can get it done.
Here's Burris. One fake, now looks to the end zone again, deep, and it's almost intercepted. Dylan Ching was the intended receiver. And their markers down right near the goal line.
Yeah, it was away from the play. Markers were over by the goal line in the corner, right by the end zone. Illegal use of hands some way. Just was it offensively or defensively?
Fourth quarter just underway.
Forward pass interference. Saskatchewan 88. First down repeated.
Curtis Marsh. This is Dylan Ching. This is the play almost intercepted by Alfonso Roundtree. On the other side of the field, Curtis Marsh was interfering. I believe it was Davis Sanchez. He was working on trying to push off to get off and get open.
It's still first and goal, but a little more difficult now from the 19. Burris with time, and he one-hopped it. Dan Farthing had some room.
Well, you got to go. Now, you just got to go here. I mean, it's third down.
No, it's just second.
Oh, okay. Well, then you definitely go.
Yeah. Most of the time, I'm going on second down.
Yeah, you definitely go on second. The penalty would change it. This is the numbers after 3 quarters as I regroup up here in the booth. Time of possession very close. But you talked about the panel, and they talked about that rushing drive from Mike Pringle. That's 104 yards rushing for the Owls, and that was the drive that turned this game in Montreal's favor completely. It was for the most part anyway, but...
Yeah, Henry Burris was shaken up on that previous play, so he's down on one knee and holding on to his right shoulder.
Well, you know, with the arm strength of Henry Burris, he's not going to one-hop it to Dan Farthing, so maybe when he threw that football, it was really only about a 15-yard throw, and he bounced it about 7 yards from the line of scrimmage, or 8 yards. So he's got a very strong arm. Maybe he injured it on the throw. See, right after he threw it, he reached for his right shoulder.
And there's nobody in the area, right? I mean, that was,
no, he didn't get hit
on the throwing motion.
He didn't get hit. He dropped back, threw that out there, and it was about a 10-yard pass that bounced to a receiver, Dan Farthing, that was 15 yards away from him.
36-13 here. The Alouettes leading the Roughriders.
Well, just take a look at the throw from Henry Burris, and he doesn't get hit, steps back in the pocket. There's the throw. See how short he was, Dan Farthing, and with an arm as strong as his, that's not going to happen. He must have injured that shoulder somehow as he released that football. It's a tremendous amount of torque when you throw the ball like that, and maybe threw his own shoulder out a little bit.
Marvin Graves doesn't have numbers that you can really tell about his season. 3 of 7 for 34 yards, so he has been around Canadian football a time or two with a team or two. But Henry Burris has been at the controls of the Saskatchewan offense almost all season.
Ivan Gutfrin, the trainer for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, out there attending to Henry Burris.
It's interesting, though, why he's still out on the field, isn't it? Because, I mean,
well, you know
it's
why
an arm problem. And
but you know why he is, John, is because they want him to take a knee. They want to make sure that they can talk to Marvin Graves. Danny Barrett, you see him discussing the plays or the next couple of plays that he wants Marvin Graves to run. So they don't want Henry Burris to just walk off the field and have Marvin Graves, without warming up his arm, getting some instruction from the sideline to go back on the field. So give Marvin Graves a little bit of time to get together and get things going and organized, and then come off, and he has a better chance of having success.
And way to bring the fresh quarterback in at 2nd and goal to go from the 19.
Exactly.
So he's got one crack at it here.
So that'd be 2nd, not 3rd.
That would be 2nd and not 3rd.
I'm with you.
Graves can't find anyone, and then fired it into the turf in the end zone. It was intended for Farthing.
Well, you can't have any more steamboats.
No, he had half the afternoon.
Yeah, he had a lot of time to throw the football, and he's kind of sliding up in the pocket. No one's open to the left, no one's open in the middle. I'll slide up, buy myself a bit more time. No one's open on the right, and just kind of throw it away as I get hit in the mouth from Kelly Wilshire. But he had plenty of time to throw the ball. You know, and now it is 3rd down, and I was saying that, you know, at this point, it's almost time to gamble.
Yeah, but maybe not with Graves as your quarterback.
Well,
right?
and Danny Barrett's thinking, might as well get some points with the backup quarterback in there in 3rd and a whole bunch.
From the 26, McCallum has it. He's 3 for 3. The Riders need touchdowns, not field goals. However, they're down 36-16. Henry Burris will be on the sidelines for a little while anyway. Let's bring in Ray.
Thanks, John. That is a slight shoulder strain for Henry Burris. They're not sure if he's going to go back in or not. We may see Graves the rest of the way, but that is the report. It's not believed to be anything too serious, but for precautionary measures, they may keep him out a few more series, maybe for the rest of the football game.
And the Alouettes have the ball right back as Thomas Haskins, who's had a wonderful afternoon, breaks through another wave of Rough Rider tacklers. Derek Crete brought him down.
Well, you know, it was a fluke injury because he wasn't hit on the play, but we happen to have a guy on our staff that had a few injuries in his time and threw a few footballs in his time.
He's the foremost authority on injuries to quarterbacks. Matt Dunnigan. Did you have this one, Matthew?
Thanks a lot, guys. Great introduction. Appreciate being on the show. Hey, I tell you what, more than anything, I think this is just another sign of the physical effects that a long season takes on a young quarterback. Remember, this is his first year starting. He's been through a lot of games. That arm hasn't thrown that many balls, and I think it's just a sure sign of the physical toll that he's been taking all season long.
It's an interesting point as the Alouettes get out near the 55.
Little fatigue factor for Henry Burris.
He's a tough kid. I think he'll be able to overcome that, though. I think this is just another drop in the bucket for him. He didn't come from Temple and start there for 4 years under Steve Goldman being a wimp. This guy's a player.
And in an important game.
That's right.
You're watching the other quarterback here this afternoon too, Matthew. Calvillo has likely never played as well as he has in the last couple of weeks.
Like Tracy Ham, he's benefited from his offensive line and the running of Mike Pringle and great people around him. Not taking anything away from Tracy or Anthony, but these guys are excellent quarterbacks that have learned how to win with the people around them and take advantage of their talents.
Calvillo just 1 interception in his last 7 games and 13 touchdowns, 23 on the season. So he's on a wonderful run and likely headed for all-star status, at least in the Eastern Division.
Yeah, but you know what Matt Dunnigan just touched on there was the fact that he's learned how to play within the system, and a system that is, you know, really focused on the running game, and that's not easy because there's a lot of egos out there.
They get to him for the first time. That's Demetrius Maxey getting through to bring down Calvillo.
You know, there's a lot of egos on the field, and quarterbacks like to throw the football. They want to throw those touchdown passes, and it's something that you do have to learn. I truly believe that. You have to learn how to play within a system that focuses on the running game, as Demetrius Maxey finally gets to Anthony Calvillo. Mike Pringle looked like he was checking Maxey and then going to release out of the backfield and try and get the little spot where he can get a dump-off pass from Calvillo, and didn't hold the block long enough.
Al's looking at 2nd and 20. Catch is made well short of a first down by Jock Climby. And Nate Terry, Jackie Mitchell, I should say, was there for the tackle. So Anthony Calvillo will get a little rest here.
Well, I mentioned it earlier, but the giveaway takeaway thing is a big thing for Anthony Calvillo. They've attempted 442 passes coming into this game. Calgary Stampeders, for example, 524, almost 100 more at this point in the season. In fact, Montreal Alouettes have attempted less passes than any team in the Canadian Football League.
Well, there's a reason for that, isn't there?
27
yeah,
is the
that's
reason.
what I was guessing.
And that's what I'm saying. It's focused around their running game. It can control that giveaway takeaway category, and it can make your good quarterback look great.
No return for Eric Gulliford. Saskatchewan will be 1st and 10, but time is the Roughriders' enemy. 10:37 to play in the 4th, and the backup is in. Game Story is brought to you by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar. Great steaks, good food, good friends. See you tonight for bacon-wrapped scallops at the Keg.
My favorite. Look at Mike Pringle's got his CFL record for rushing touchdowns. Davis Sanchez, we talked about his matchup on Curtis Marsh. Marsh has caught a couple, but Sanchez caught a very important one. His 8th interception for a touchdown. Calvillo playing well. Marsh has had his too. 101.
Yeah, he's done well. Riders in a bit of a hole though. Bandros. And wrapped up in a hurry, short of the first down. Mark Washington got over to make the tackle. It is Marvin Graves in at quarterback with Henry Burris on the sidelines, an injured shoulder. And Graves has not seen a great deal of action.
Tell you one thing I'm a little surprised about, and that is that in the 3rd quarter, when Saskatchewan had the wind, they didn't go into the hurry-up offense and try and get back in this football game, and they're not in the hurry-up offense now. Now, the downside is you can be 2-0 in a hurry as well, but it's desperation time for them right now.
2nd down, the Riders need a little better than a yard. Darren Davis got the call, and he has the first down.
You know, for instance, right now, the clock is blown in, and now Danny Barrett will go with the hurry-up, and he just signaled just now to Marvin Graves to call the play on the line of scrimmage, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Graves moves back into the shotgun for this first down pass. A one-hopper. Bendrus. Graves at the controls. Henry Burris with the warm-up jacket on. First 16 of 32, 246 and a couple of touchdowns. A couple of interceptions, I should say.
Well, one was for a touchdown. Davis Sanchez. Well, it makes that uphill climb that much tougher. Now it's uphill in the snow and barefoot, both ways.
Winter is coming. Football season all but over in Saskatchewan. They ruled that that was an attempted forward pass. And there's a penalty marker down way back in the Montreal secondary.
Montreal also had some injuries throughout the year, and they're becoming healthy at the right time. Kelly Wilshire's been in the lineup. They've had some problems up front with Steve Charbonneau
Illegal
injured.
contact on a receiver. Montreal 2, first down.
Sylvester Miller has missed a couple of games. Swift Birch has had to move inside, but boy, have they ever controlled the line of scrimmage in this game this afternoon. Sylvester Miller, Steve Charbonneau, Jason Richards, and Swift Birch have made things easy for the secondary, and Davis Sanchez benefits from their good work up front.
Yeah, now Sanchez was the one singled out on the penalty that gives Saskatchewan 1st and 10 at the 35. Graves has it intercepted.
Herb Smith couldn't decide whether or not he wanted to catch it or knock it down.
Well, he decided to make the catch. So Irv Smith has his 3rd interception of the season. Marvin Graves throws this one up for a very solid Montreal secondary, although that was a fairly easy catch. Brian Chew, his first season as center for the Montreal Alouettes. He is the best in the CFL, unquote, Charlie Tapp. Maybe a biased opinion. What do you think?
Well, he's had his hands full with Demetrius Maxey all day long, a guy who's played well defensively. But yeah, he talked about Brian Chew and said, if there's a better center in the league, you got to show him to me, because he's played tremendously all season long. And you know, kind of having the kind of season that Jamie Terrace had in BC last year when he was forced to move from his guard position into center. That's not easy, and that's what Brian Chew did when Mike Sutherland went down, moved into center, and really solidified that offensive line. And it's not just the physical part of the game. Brian Chew has become a great leader on offense with that line, because that's a group that has to be together. And he's really brought them together. Neil Fort and Azumo Keke added at the tackles midway through the year.
He was a center at university, so the adjustment might have been a little easier for him, but it's worked out very well for the Montreal Alouettes, no question about it. Pringle takes off again on 2nd and 5, enough for the first down. Andrew Henry made the stop.
Well, take a look at Brian Chew in action. Pretty good block right at the point of attack on Sheldon Napastuk. Drives him down to the ground and then does a little cruising. Remember the cruising? Offensive line, they start running downfield looking for the little guys. You don't want to be a DB standing around looking at the pile.
Mike Pringle is over 100 yards for the 60th time in his CFL career. Here's Haskins, Thomas Haskins. Slides the outside, lost the ball. The Riders have a chance at it. I think it's Saskatchewan ball. Arkel Trulak comes up with it. So there's still a little hope, but the Riders need 20 points in a hurry just to get even.
Well, you know, you hear the hurry up offense. Well, now it's called the fire drill, because the building is burning down and it's time the Riders picked up the pace of their offense. Here's the fumble by Thomas Haskins to the outside, trying to reverse his field. Got hit by Aaron Collins, and that ball is pulled out of there, and I believe it was Arkel Trulak who ended up with it at the end of that. Trulak gives the Saskatchewan Roughriders a little bit of hope.
Still a long way to go to hit the end zone. Don't forget the #1 quarterback is watching from the sidelines. Marvin Graves is number 2 and unloads on the money for Dan Farthing. Farthing is fired to the turf by Kelly Wiltshire. An interesting takedown move there.
Well, this is Marvin Graves, the out pattern to Dan Farthing. He gets that out there, and I could hear the Riders yelling that you can't throw Farthing down on the ground like that, but I don't see anything wrong with a little aggressive tackling in the open field.
7 for Farthing, 2nd and 3, Saskatchewan. Target far side, it's Marsh. Nice spin move to get away. Marsh past Smith. at least partially, but Lester Smith gets over to make the tackle.
You know why that move was so good by Curtis Marsh? Because he changed things up. Usually when a receiver catches that quick out pattern and Marsh is going to catch it like this, they usually try to turn to the outside. Well, he stops and turns back to the inside. Watch how he changes things up on Irv Smith. Usually they'll catch this one, then turn quickly that way. Well, see, he fakes that way and comes back inside, and he fools Irv Smith on the play.
18 yards for Marsh. He's over 100 at 119. Marvin Graves back in a hurry. Farthing, great catch. Stan Farthing inside the 15. Love the way this guy plays the game. Mark Washington made the tackle. Farthing has 26.
Mark Washington, right in the middle of your screen, was supposed to rotate to the middle of the field. Dan Farthing recognized that he was really late getting there, and I believe he broke off his pattern, went right down the seam with it. Marvin Graves saw him do it and got him the football.
Roughriders 1st and 10. Alouette 14. Montreal in control. Saskatchewan looking for a huge finish. Graves fired it right into the hands of a Montrealer. Irv Smith. Second interception. There is a flag down, however.
Well, I guess it's just not a Henry Burris problem. It apparently is a Saskatchewan Roughriders quarterback problem when they get in the green zone throwing interceptions.
Might be a little hope here for the Roughriders on the penalty.
Illegal contact on a receiver. Montreal 47. First down.
So that's Stephen Reid. This drive will continue for Saskatchewan.
You see Dan Farthing, the inside receiver. Eric Gulliford open initially. See right there to the left, what Stephon Reid did is he came out of his drop, turned around and jammed Eric Gulliford, and that's where he got the penalty. You can maintain your ground. You can't get out of that area.
Saskatchewan 1st and goal. There's the touchdown toss. Curtis Marsh again, second of the day. And the Riders climb a little closer with 4:33 to play.
Curtis Marsh was heading back to the sideline to celebrate with his teammates on the sideline. He's going to catch that quick slant pattern. Marvin Graves throws a nice ball over the middle and again has time to throw it, but he was taken off to go and celebrate and then realized Danny Barrett wanted to go for 2. Ran 40 yards to the sideline, 40 yards back. He's got to be a little tired after catching a touchdown and doing all that running.
36-22 as it stands right now. In the Alouettes' favor, Riders go for 2. Tipped. No chance for it.
Well, Stephon Reid's penalty was key in this drive. He gave the Riders another chance because they had the interception to Irv Smith. And now that really gives them a little bit of breathing room here and a little chance to come back in this game.
Gators got the Gopher Mobile fired up again. Huge smile on Danny Barrett's face after this touchdown.
Well, this is the penalty to Stephon Reid. This is the interception thrown right to Irv Smith. Stephon Reid committed the foul, and here's the post pattern. Curtis Marsh catches that touchdown after the Reid penalty.
36-22 after Curtis Marsh's second touchdown of the afternoon. Ready for the Rough Rider kickoff.
Well, 2 touchdowns away. They got the onside kick team on. They'll try and lob one over to the right side and see if the Riders can't recover it. Good high ball, but a little deep.
Yeah, and just batted out by Haskins. So it'll be first down Montreal. Charlie Taff about 4 minutes away from clinching top spot in the CFL East ahead of the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Well, it's a very tough kick to make, is the onside kick. I mean, very low percentage kick. What you want to try and do is kick it about...
Offside, Saskatchewan 99 on the kickoff. Penalties decline, Montreal first down.
And that often happens as well, but it's a tough kick to make. You got to kick it to about the 12-yard mark. You can't kick it too deep, or else it gives the opposing team a chance to recover it quite easily, like Thomas Haskins did. And all you have to do is be the last one to touch it as it goes out of bounds.
So the Riders need a couple of touchdowns to get even. 4:09 on the clock. Anthony Cavillo, 19 of 26. Pringle is still almost impossible to bring down. Chance McCarty, even when he's not getting substantial yardage, he's difficult to throw to the ground in there.
Yeah, Ron Lancaster, in a meeting I had with him one time, said to me, you know, it's one thing to be able to run the ball. It's another to be able to run the ball when everyone else knows you're going to run the ball. And that's what the Montreal Alouettes can do, like a lot of teams can't do. Everyone knows what's going to happen in this series. But can you stop them?
Pringle again off tackle left. It'll be an easy first down for the Alouettes. Aaron Collins made the stop. And this is another thing that the Alouettes have when they have 27 in the backfield, to just take important minutes and seconds off the clock here when you can just grind it out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's 12 Saskatchewan Roughrider defenders right there that know Mike Pringle's going to get the ball. And they know that he's going to take the ball and pound it up in the middle for the remainder of this football game. Now, when you all know that, that's one thing. Can you stop him is the other. And it's a pretty impressive running game when you can do it when they know you have to.
And he seems to get stronger and stronger later in the game. Mike Pringle and the Montreal Alouettes are 3 minutes and 3 seconds away from another victory, as Pringle chases George Reed, the all-time career rushing leader in Canadian football. A couple of years to go before he catches George.
You might want to tune in to around Labor Day. Montreal likely will be playing BC 2 years from now. That will be when he breaks the record.
That's somewhere in there.
That's a promo for a long way down the line.
Yeah, it'll be Adidas Friday Night Football.
Yeah,
no question. But it'll be the season 2002, right?
Exactly.
George White made the tackle.
Well, we will see some records fall. I mean, you saw one fall from Mike Pringle in the touchdowns rushing in a single season. Damon Allen is poised to break Ron Lancaster's record for passing yardage all time. That'll likely happen maybe next week or the week after. And we have both those games.
Second down, a yard to go. Alouettes continue to pound it out. Bruno Happel got the call that time. Aaron Collins in the middle made the stop for Saskatchewan. Hamilton at BC.
Yeah, and that's, you know, Damon Allen has a chance to break Ron Lancaster's record in that game, and if not, they'll play the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the last game of the season in BC Place, which will be Louis Passaglia's last ever game. And
late in the fourth in Calgary, the Stampeders lead 38-31 on the BC Lions. And here goes Michael again. Pringle has another first down. Andrew Henry made the tackle. And 1:58 remains on the clock at Taylor Field. So that's where it stands right now with the playoff situation.
Well, so what will happen if BC, you said it was 38-31 Calgary. Calgary holds on to win that game. They stay 4 points ahead of Saskatchewan if Saskatchewan will lose this game, which it looks like they will. So with 4 points and 2 games to go, there's still a chance for the Riders.
George White makes another tackle on Mike Pringle. And the standings are really just about like the predictions that have been made this year. Everything is falling into place exactly as Eric Tillman and the boys said, right?
Is that
Eric?
How is that? How is the standings over there? Eric, are you winning the whole deal?
I'm hiding right now. The only reason I'm in fourth is because there are not 5 of us.
What about this Montreal Alouette team? That's the big question. I mean, again, locked up first place in the East Division. They will host the East Final. Can they get past that game?
But, you know, this is a great win for Montreal. Anytime you can go on the road and win and secure first place, it's a real accomplishment. You know, Charlie Taft is a quiet guy. He doesn't receive a lot of notoriety, but no team in this league plays more fundamentally sound football than they do. And again, they've got to feel awfully good about their chances of finally getting to the Grey Cup.
Still the one more step to make, though, Chris. And I mean, when you've lost the Eastern Final 4 straight years, those are the kind of thoughts that'll be going through the Alouettes' minds in the next couple of weeks, right?
Well, the first 3 years, you know, they never hosted the Eastern Final. And then last year they did host it, didn't finish it off right. And I know that Charlie Taft is telling his football team, let's get the job done today, secure home field advantage so we can finish the job right and get to the Grey Cup.
But they were so close to making it in those first 2 appearances in recent time against the Toronto Argonauts.
Joe Hagan's got him last year.
Yeah. Wasn't it pinball 2 years ago? The big touchdown run.
Hey, John, they outplayed us that game, and they really should have won, but pinball made a great play at the end, and that was the difference in a very close football game.
These standings look like this with the Alouettes clinching today, so Montreal ahead of Hamilton by 6, and they can't be caught now.
Still a race between Winnipeg and Hamilton for that home field game.
Hey, guys.
Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street is what I'm wondering.
We've had you guys on camera most of the afternoon.
No hair comments.
Great hair, Eric, as always.
At 43, I'm glad to have hair.
That's a very good point.
Touche. Going back now.
Very good point. Well, a big game between Toronto and Winnipeg. And
this is still a playoff battle between the Argos and the Blue Bombers. We'll be there for Adidas Friday Night Football at Skydome. Hope you can join us, too. A huge game for the Argonauts after the Bombers won this week.
Look forward to doing that one with you, Wellesley.
Perfect. And a big hit after Marvin Graves delivers to Eric Gulliford. Now, Schultz still there. He's strangely quiet.
No, I'm right here. I'm just kind of contemplating things, guys.
Well, Montreal or Calgary, which is the team to beat? Which team is the favorite?
You know what? Both of them, they're both unique in the sense that they're incredibly well balanced and they're well coached. As you see, the head coach of Montreal just get the Gatorade shower.
Wait a minute, what about Edmonton?
Curtis Marsh, another big play.
No, that's a good point, Matt. I mean, I have not ruled out the Edmonton Eskimos. They're on a roll, no question about it. I mean, when you get in the playoffs this year, you know, anyone can win. There's no question. We've seen that all season long, but you always have to say who the front runners are, and Calgary Stampeders so far have held off Edmonton and lead in the West Division, but that race is tightening up as well.
Now, Calgary doesn't clinch today as a result of if, in fact, they can hang on.
Score, by the way, there, guys, is 45-31 now.
So are we conceding that, James?
I think so. And we did the math. Eric did the math for Saskatchewan fans. What needs to happen is Saskatchewan would have to win the last 2 games, including one against BC. BC would have to lose the last 2 games. And Saskatchewan would have to beat BC by more than 18 points for Saskatchewan to get in.
Yeah, so there's a point differential if, in fact, the Roughriders can win next week when they play in Edmonton. And then odds are a little long of winning on the road 2 games in a row, but they'll match up against the BC Lions on that final weekend of the season. So it's not quite over.
Legal procedure. Saskatchewan number 60. First down repeated.
Well, and Danny Barrett looks to next year, you know, and he has 2 more games to evaluate some backups. He has a chance to look at some other people that he's had on the roster that haven't seen a lot of playing time. He'll want to continue to work on signing Henry Burris to a longer-term contract.
Marvin Graves into the end zone one final time, and the receiver fell down. And that was Curtis Marsh. Mark Washington couldn't adjust to the football. It was floating there. Well, we'll give the Adidas game ball out here. Who do you want to go to?
Well, I would say probably 27. What do you think? 147 yards.
Not a bad day.
Breaks the CFL rushing touchdown record in a single season. I think that's enough to give him the Adidas game ball.
Yeah, he is one determined individual. He is just a brilliant running back without question, Mike.
Well, it's a pleasure for, you know, us to do the games, of course, but fans across this country to watch him play the game. I mean, he plays the game the way it should be played. Hard-nosed, aggressively, and with a tremendous amount of talent. And, you know, it's a treat to watch him play.
Yeah, and a credit to you, too, because when he arrived in the league, he saw you wearing number 27 and asked for that number.
Yeah, he ran over it a couple times is what he did. And as a matter of fact, you know, I remember a game we played against him when he was in Baltimore, and Don Matthews was the coach then, and they were right here in Taylor Field, and they drove the ball from their own 10-yard line, gave it to Pringle 8 times in a row, and scored the last touchdown to wrap up the game. It was just amazing how he could drag the entire defense on his shoulders. So I've been there.
Time is about run out on the Roughriders. There's a wobbler. Gulliford was the target.
I know what defenses around the league experience when they have to try and stop Mike Pringle.
Well, another outstanding season, another CFL record. And he really still has a shot at one more record this season, the record for the most touchdowns scored in a year, held by Corey Philpott at 22. So Pringle has 19, 2 games to go, and all of his touchdowns are on the ground. Philpott had some receptions mixed in with his touchdown total of 22. So that was set in 1995, and I think Mike Pringle knows that. I think his sights will be set on grabbing Corey Philpott's record.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, right now this entire team, and I walked through warm-up, talked to a lot of the guys on the field, and they're all thinking about that Eastern Final right now. In the back of their minds, that's the game that they have to win this year, or else this season is a failure for them. And that's the way they think about it, not the way I think about it. They've been too close too many times.
And it'll end the game.
So the final score rates 39-22, the Alouettes over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Time now for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Super 8s.
Well, the turning point of this football game went right back to the first play of the football game. Saskatchewan needed to get a good start to the game, and they did when Thomas Haskins took the opening kickoff, returned it to midfield, ended up scoring to cap off a drive, put the Montreal Alouettes on the board first. They never looked back.
And a couple of plays later, Haskins was into the end zone, not without incident, but he did get there. 6-0 early for the Alouettes.
CFL football on TSN is brought to you in part by Molson Canadian. I am Canadian. And by 3M Filtrate Air Cleaning Filters. Breathe the difference.
Yes, break out the bubbly. The Montreal Alouettes are Eastern Division champions again, the 2nd straight year, and they go to the Eastern Final for the 5th year in a row. The one other game, Calgary leading BC 45-38, very late in this game. Our next game, next Friday night, Bombers and the Argos. Bombers win there in the playoffs. Check out tsn.ca/CFL in the interim. Sports Desk is next with Gino Retta. This has been a presentation of TSN, Canada's most watched sports network.